What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Book Report, our final episode for Season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. We will be talking spoilers, obviously, for the whole episode. And we'll probably also talk about that other big announcement that happened just like an hour or two ago. That's right, Super Mario Strikers is getting a sequel on Nintendo Switch. That's what everyone cares about. That's what I care about.
Not the Obi-Wan poster and release date.
Yeah, we can talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi if people want to, or Strikers. But we have a new substitute teacher coming in for the book report this week, and we are so excited to bring on Colton Dunn. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
We are thrilled to have you. We're huge Parks and Rec and Superstore fans. And honestly, I just saw that you followed us, and actually, I found out you were a Star Wars fan because you submitted a question to Force Center Podcast. We're good friends with them. And I was like, oh man, I'd love to talk to Colton.
I did.
So welcome to the show. Real quick, I want to get just a little Star Wars icebreaker question because we've never talked Star Wars with you before. I kind of want to just get a baseline. So my favorite question to ask people is, who is your favorite like minor character, like a C or D list background person, someone that you think you might have a chance at being like their biggest fan in the world?
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to be anybody's biggest fan in the world because there's so many Star Wars fans out there. But geez, there's a number of them, that come to mind. I mean, my favorite growing up was always Wedge. Mm-hmm. Who was like a character that wasn't really there, but like if you like would go and be hanging out with other Star Wars people, like there'd always be like one or other two people who'd be like Wedge Antilles, right? And you'd be like, oh yeah, Wedge Antilles, we love him. So I think I'll put my money on Wedge, just so you.
That's perfect. We're kind of kindred spirits. I really love Biggs Darklighter. I'm a big fan of all the pilots, but Biggs is my boy.
We could do a whole show about side pilots and their names. Just, it's great.
Well, let's just get right into the episode because there's a lot to talk about. Colton, how have you been finding the series as a whole, I guess, before we do that?
Well, I mean, as a whole, I love it. I just love live action Star Wars. I like having it to watch. I like getting to watch it every week. It just makes me super excited. So overall, I love it. Creatively, there have been some things in this, this season where, it could just be because it was a character that I, kind of felt more connection with. And, that there were some things where I was just like, what is going on? As where like with the Mandalorian, it was kind of, even though it was in the Star Wars world, it was a very new thing. And it was like, he could just do whatever he wanted because they were kind of creating the character week to week. But in this one, it was definitely, there definitely were some parts where it was just sort of like, oh, okay, that, they made that choice, I'm not, and I think the other thing too that happens is, and it's probably, you guys probably get this too, just as you get older, like, it's Star Wars, like there's campiness to it. There's cheesiness to it. There's these things that are just a part of Star Wars that I think are just kind of get a little bit harder to adjust to when you're older. Then when you're younger, you're like, wee, this is cool. They all have Vespas, but I think as you get older, maybe, it's really more on my end. Any issue I have with Star Wars is just because I'm become a grumpy old dad.
Well, we definitely deal with that kind of stuff, and the Vespas is a good example because I remember when they first came on, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but then when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, but Dexter's Diner is a thing, and there's definitely arguments to be made, like, oh, well, they'd fit better on Coruscant than Tatooine or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, it's just, I do think it's just that you get to a certain age. I think for me, it was like in my 20s where I was a little grumpier about Star Wars and be like, it should be cool all the time. And then now I'm in my mid 30s and I'm like, no, I kind of love the camp, and everything that feels cheesy at one point comes around and is eventually just fun and beloved.
Yeah, there's so much of Star Wars that's just dumb fun, and you gotta just learn to kind of roll with it. Like the Vespas, people are calling them like the Power Rangers of Star Wars and the Skittle Cadets or whatever. And it's like it's just fun. They have these cool speeders that, you know, look like something we've never seen before. And yeah, they're bright colors, but it's cool and fun. And I don't know.
Speeder though, I mean, they don't even really go that fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody had a big problem too with the amount of speed that they had, which was not a lot.
Yeah.
in the chase scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It very much felt like an amusement park ride that's got you on like a little track.
Well, there you go. See?
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, yeah. So how did you feel about this episode in particular? The season finale, did it sit well with you or challenge you, or how did you feel?
Well, yeah, you know, I watched it 3 times today. Just over the course of the first time I sat down and watched all 3 through, and then the rest of the day, every time I had a break, I just kept going through and watching it. I loved it. You know, I love it. I think that it worked out great for the story that they set out to tell. The characters got what they needed. There was, Bubba and Mando like side by side, fighting the Pikes. I mean, that just that scene alone of those guys shooting and taking shots, I could just watch that. That could have lasted for 45 minutes as far as I'm concerned. Showing up riding on the back of a Rancor. I mean, come on, that's so cool. The reuniting of Mando and Grogu. That also was just so great. I love seeing a little bit more of Bane. Bummed that, he died, but, I guess it's Star Wars. You never know. Overall, there were all these like moments that I loved. I think overall, I don't know, it somewhat felt a little disjointed at some parts. There's sort of like timeline things, like there's like little stuff that always gets me in like some just in all kind of action sequences, like, these, 2 like, droid destroyers show up and they're like blasting the place for like 15 minutes. There's giant explosions. And 15 minutes later, like people are still just hanging out next to their fruit cart down the street. Like I was like, why are the fruit cart people still there? They should have been gone like a while ago.
This fruit is all they have, Colton. They're not going to leave their mellow runs.
I can't go. So there's like little things like that, that I was just kind of like, where I'm like, what? Okay, the Rancor doesn't like the fire when Bane shoots him with the fire, but when, a few minutes later, Mando shoots him with the fire, it just makes him more angry and like want to fight Mando instead of run away. So, there's just like little weird things like that kind of like, tick me in the back of my head. But then I just go, whatever, it's Star Wars. They they blew up the Death Star, it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, as an adult, you feel like those little things add up. But then I have been reading stories of like kids or their people's kids are just like rolling around on the ground, shooting each other and like jumping off the couch and pretending to be Boba Fett. And I'm like, yeah, that's what Star Wars is ultimately for.
That's what it's about.
So it's like you kind of forgive those logical inconsistencies, but I definitely noticed them.
Yeah. I'm curious, did you watch the Clone Wars or any of the animated TV shows that Cad Bane has been in?
Rebels, all those. I watched most of those things. I haven't made my way through all of them. I really started watching those when The Mandalorian started. And I was like, man, I'm loving this. I can't get enough. And so I started kind of going back and watching those things, which was really great. I think you talked about that, with the Force Center, and there's another thing called, what are those guys called? I don't know. I'll remember what it is. It's like they used to like the Mandalorian podcast, but there's something else now. But like these guys would talk about, all the characters and how they link back to these, to the shows. And so it was really great going in and watching them and seeing all the characters that, some of them show up in Mando and show up in here. But it's also like, and there will be like corny and silly stuff in there, but it's a cartoon. And so it's like, there's almost this like kind of like level of like, those things don't tick me as much as if it's, live action.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, really a lot of times my criticisms are just my own, short-sightedness, I guess.
That's great though, because that's like exactly what Disney Plus wants people to do. They want them to start watching Mandalorian and be like, oh, who's this? And watch all the other shows. So yeah, they're doing their jobs right over there.
I also think that's just the best attitude to have about Star Wars, because I will absolutely, like, people see mostly my scripted takes on here. They don't always see the times that Molly and I will take the dog on a walk, and I'll be like, well, this bugged me and this bugged me and this bugged me. And then I'll talk my way through why, okay, that's not really that big of a deal. And, you know, I'm asking myself this question, oh, but that could work this way. Like, I've just become so used to, at this point, rationalizing everything that bugs me and trying to find a way that it works within the universe. But instead of just going like, oh, that sucks and I hate it, like to forgive it, I'm like, yeah, this universe is giving me so much joy.
You know, it's a TV show. It's you know, they're bringing in a different director each time, and each director's kind of bringing their own thing, their own flavor to it.
Yeah,
that's like, I mean, for this series as a whole, I totally agree that it was weird sometimes, but also it gave me some really, really great scenes, like the scene with Boba Fett and the Rancor in Chapter 3. I loved that scene. It meant a lot to me. So even the stuff that isn't like the grand slam home run every time, I'm like, but it still gave me some really cool stuff that I will appreciate for a long time.
Yeah. If we did have the attitude of like, oh, I didn't really like that, so now I hate it, we'd be in the wrong line of work. We would have to get different jobs.
Well, so many people, it seems like, you know, Star Wars, it's either the best thing ever or it's just complete and utter garbage. And it's like there's no middle ground. It's like there absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should we do our drawings? Should we get into our favorite little moments of the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I've already seen people in the chat guess what mine is.
Okay, well then why don't you go first? Since you're so predictable.
I'm so predictable. Almost all of my drawings are Grogu related. So I had to draw him take a little nap. Take a little snooze with the Rancor.
I like that you break out the different colored markers too.
I have a green.
I should be doing it. I know. I just have black over here like a loser.
It's not as good as my last Rancor drawing because I spent more time on that one than I did this one.
That's
but
unbelievable. That is the best Rancor I've ever seen. That's so
Thank
good.
you.
I feel like
my favorite part.
I love that, but I actually tried to recreate it right back here because we have the Funko Pop Rancor and then the little minifig Grogu, and it's kind of the perfect size. So I broke out my toys. I'll go. I think mine was awfully predictable as well. So I was just petrified the entire episode because I thought that they actually did kill him, but Cobb Vanth, he's in the post-credits scene. I was so worried when the Weequay, we got a name for him now, Tonti, when he said that they shot him down in cold blood, and I was like, oh my God, they actually killed him. I can't believe they actually killed him. So my heart exploded when
Cobb
Molly was like, you kind of built me up to it too, because I didn't catch Boba Fett saying that the Bacta tank was in use. And she was like, Kersantin's not.
I was like, it's gotta be Cobb Vanth.
Do you think it's Cobb Vanth? And I was like, you gave me a little bit of hope.
No way that Cobb Vanth was gonna be dead. I not for 1 minute did I believe that. I'm Oliphant. Come on, man, you're not losing that guy. That's a poor casting decision.
I said that at the end of the last episode. I was like, he's fine. They were yelling about med packs and stim packs, like he's fine. And then he didn't show up to the fight, and I was like, uh-oh. And then they're like, sorry about the marshal, and he's like, they gunned him down in cold blood, like, oh no. Which I think I would have been okay in the end. It would have taken me some time to accept it, but like his sacrifice to rally the people of Freetown, I'm like, all right, I get it, I like it, but I'm so happy that he made it.
He made it. And Thundercat's cooking up some new bionics.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Mod Cobb or Mod Vanth or Robo Cobb, which I like all those jokes.
Yeah. Stuart J earlier, I don't know if I can pull it up, but Stuart J sent in a super chat that said Mod Vanth, and I like that as a new nickname.
Colton, what was your favorite little moment?
I mean, yeah, I didn't. I'm not. Well, I'm an artist, so I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my drawings. This is just the mayor getting pulled up by the getting yanked up into the rafters.
That's definitely the look he had on his face. He was like, "Oh no,"
frowning.
Yes.
Like, oh man. That scene was kind of shockingly graphic. I mean, it's like Star Wars is really good with its off-screen violence, but that felt like, oh my god, you wrapped that neck around that giant, or wrapped that rope around that giant neck and just yanked him up.
Just yanked him up. Everybody died. I will say I was bummed that Boba Fett was not there for that. You know, these are the real people who killed the Sand People. And so, like, that was just one of those moments where I was just like, oh, man, why isn't Boba Fett should be killing these guys?
Yeah. Go ahead, Molly, because we kind of talked about this.
We did. Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of people say that that should have been switched with, like, Cad Bane. Cad Bane should have had a shootout with Fennec Shand because of, like, their past on the Bad Batch. And then that Boba Fett was going to be the one to, like, go and kill those guys. But I guess I can see the argument to be made, but I don't know that Boba Fett was willing to just kill them all like Fennec is.
You think Fennec was more ruthless?
Maybe he just wouldn't have gone in. He'd try to, like, work a deal out with them or something.
Yeah, he would just try to talk to them and, like, be like, why did you do this? And Fennec's like, nope, don't have time for that.
Strangle, stab, shoot. We're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm so glad that we got the Boba Fett Cad Bane duel. It's weird though. Like, I'm glad that happened because of the whole, like, unfinished Clone Wars arc that we've never actually seen. But, like, that's what I wanted to see play out. And just the idea of, Boba Fett as a leader, as a chief or whatever you want to call it, defeating his past, like the best of the best bounty hunters. I really like that they were the ones that got to fight. And I mean, Boba Fett told Fennec, he's like, can you make it? Can you go take care of them? So he sent her to do that. At least he was in on it.
Yeah, I mean, he made the call. He was a shot caller now. That's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to leave Mos Espa. Like, they were off in another city just waiting for the fight to end. And he was like, no, I'm going to stay here, fight with the people, which earned him the respect that he needed.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, it was good delegating. It was good delegating on Boba Fett's part.
I've seen
it's a sign of a true leader.
I've seen a lot of discussion about, and perfect timing, Hector Pereira, I wanted to bring this up. Thank you for the super chat. That Cad Bane was stabbed, but is he dead? Or is he also going to go to the mod station or back to, like, there have definitely been some talks about whether or not Cad Bane is actually dead. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's entirely possible that he's not dead. I mean, the guy has survived a lot. He was just stabbed. We don't know what type of technology he possesses. He may have some kind of little nanobots that help fix, injuries. He's pretty, he's a pretty tuned in cat. So I would imagine that it's very possible that he could return. Maybe he'll go into the desert and find some sand people and have an awakening as well.
Yeah, he's gonna have his own journey. That would actually be really cool.
The Chronicles of Cad Bane.
The Book of Cad.
Yeah. I think it is possible. When I first heard this theory, I was like, I don't like that. I just want him to be dead because that was a big moment for Boba. But the more I read into it, I was like, I don't mind this being open-ended. So, like, if they did want to bring him back, they could be like, oh yeah, he survived and this is how. But for the storytelling purposes for now, I'm going to just assume that he's dead. But Alex, you told me that his species has 4 hearts.
No, I made that up. I was joking.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't make stuff like that up for Star Wars. I just believe you.
I was like, they could just say that down the line. They talked about the Ithorians' 2 stomachs. It's like, we'll just say that Duros have 4 hearts or whatever.
Yeah.
But people are talking about.
Well, we have these all these different series coming out that jump around in the timeline. So we very well could see Cad Bane in a live action show that just happens to take place before this, unfortunate end.
I totally agree that like it was a big moment for Boba Fett, and I'm like, right now, even though I love that they brought him into live action and I love the character, I kind of want him to stay dead because Star Wars does have a reputation for resurrections, but like they put that little blinking light on his chest for whatever reason. And then even the audio description, I went and listened to that and it makes mention of that blinking light. And I'm like, that's weird. That seems purposeful. So I think that they are, Molly, like you said, trying to leave it open-ended where the blinking light means nothing for now. But if they decide they want him for a story down the line, they'll be like, oh, the blinking light was calling his droid
I'm
Toto.
Still here.
Yeah.
Cad Bane comes like in with a walker.
Yeah, he's no spring chicken. He's like Matt McDonald's saying.
I was gonna bring this super chat up from Matt McDonald because he's in his 70s. Sad to see Cad go, but makes perfect thematic sense. Good for him for reaching his 70s when most Star Wars characters get past 50. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they've been playing pretty fast and loose with the age of any character, especially if they're coming from animation, where it's like Boba Fett should be younger than Bo-Katan. But, the actors aren't that way, so they're just like, oh, well. And Cad Bane is kind of the same way, where I'm just like, I don't know, they'll just say that Duros live a long time all of a sudden.
Thanks, Ken, for your super chat. Cad's galactic life alert was beeping. Yeah, he had like a little
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Toto, help.
I've fallen.
And I'll just say thank you to our friends, other YouTubers. The Templin Institute wants us to shut up about Boba Fett and talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. Which
I play a Klingon on that series.
Yeah, I knew you did a voice there, but we try not to talk about Star Trek here. No one cares.
It's kind of out of our wheelhouse, though.
I've seen some Star Trek. I know a little bit about Next Generation, Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
I think that's those are all the questions I had. I guess let's talk about. Do you want to see a season 2 for this?
A Book of Boba?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, of course, I'll take anything they get. If it's live action Star Wars, I will watch it. I don't really know what story they're gonna tell. I guess that would be interesting. I mean, it's nice to see, sort of this guy who is thought of as kind of this like badass, ruthless killer, kind of redeem himself. But I don't know how entertaining it'll watch just him being a good person. Maybe it will be maybe that's where they're going with it. He's just going to be a really good person. But there's, I feel like I don't think you necessarily have to have a season 2 of this. I mean, there's just so much in the world of the Mandalorian. That I'm sure that he'll show up in Mandalorian season 3. So I mean, although I do see like, there could be if the story's good, that would be great. I mean, there's certainly, a lot that they could do with like, people who work with him betraying him, things like that. Trying to take his power. There's clearly tons of real estate as far as story being the mob boss on Tatooine, but we'll see. I can't imagine that we'll definitely see all those characters again. Whether or not it'll be in a full series, I don't know. I wouldn't say that they have to do it again, because I just feel like there's so much stuff coming down the pipe that it can integrate into all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring.
I want to see the Book
questions.
of the Rancor. That's what I want to see. The Rancor series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like if he ever leaves Tatooine, to if in season 2 he goes to take on Black Sun or something else, it's like, how's he's got to bring the Rancor. I don't want him to leave that thing behind.
I wanted to bring up Tollyman15's super chat. Thank you. Season 2 opening pitch. Cobb Vanth awakes and doesn't know where he is. He walks down into the throne room to find Thundercat shredding bass and Max Rebo jamming along for Boba and the crew. Catches him up on what he missed. Yeah, I'm down.
And that's the whole series too. Like, it's just all takes place in that like little jam session.
Yeah, they start a band.
They start a band. I love
that was
it.
I do wish we had like one little glimpse of Max Rebo running around somewhere. Like, just we got confirmation on Cobb Vanth. Love it. Would love some confirmation on Max Rebo that he wasn't vaporized in the sanctuary, but he wasn't there. I still believe he wasn't there. He's safe. He's fine.
Okay.
Are you iffy on that? Do you think he's dead and gone?
I mean, look, you want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. It was supposed to be this traumatic experience with that explosion, so maybe so, but you never know.
I just believe that he survived one explosion. He survived the sail barge. He can survive this. He's fine. He'll be back.
Got thick skin. He's got thick skin.
When we were joking that he's just like, he has no bones. He can survive any like physical trauma. He just flops around.
Just flops around and plays his music.
Speaking of people who may or may not be dead, I'm pretty sure she's dead, but I agree. Al, thank you for your super chat. Can't believe they did that to Garsa Fwip. She was so cool and so gorgeous.
Yeah, I was actually bummed about that because I thought that was a really cool character. I thought that character was gonna like play a little bit more later, just the whole from the introduction and how she came in with Bubba and like So I was definitely bummed. She was not on my get killed card.
She seemed like just like one of those people that just knows everybody's secrets, and I loved that about her. I wanted to see more.
Yeah, I still feel bad because I did not trust her like the whole series. I was like, she's up to no good. Yeah, and then when she was killed by the Pikes, I was like, oh, I read you wrong the whole time, and I felt bad. I apologized to Garsa Fwip again. You deserved better. And yeah, there just seemed like there was more story to her. It was someone who like built this community, and I don't know. Being a Twi'lek, like there's such a history with them and the Hutts and like all the crime syndicates there that I'm like, how did she get to this position? I bet she has a really cool story, and I'm sad we didn't get to learn it.
Yeah. Luke Smith has a super chat here. Thanks, Luke. About maybe continuing the series. Where do you guys see Boba's story going from here if he does get a second season? He did say to Fennec at the end, we aren't suited for this. Yeah, he seemed
like weird thing to say after his adventure.
After all you just did.
You'd think that somebody else would have said that to him. That seemed like that was what he was getting suited for. But I think it was just more the adulation, getting like the fruits and stuff like that. He wasn't feeling suited for.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would really just be him kind of running things on Tatooine. Most likely, another rival, family or institution coming in and trying to, test his strength. I think that's basically what the series would be about. My guess is that it would definitely have to start really tie into whatever is happening with Mando. Like no good deed goes unturned. If Mando's coming there to help him out, I would imagine that the next season of Boba Fett would probably end up going to help Mando somehow in an adventure with using all of his resources that he now has as the mob boss.
I think we'll see those Hutts come back. Molly and I, we did a rewatch just over the past couple days to make sure everything was fresh in our minds. And when the Hutts left, Boba Fett says something about how they're just going to sit back and let their enemies fight it out. So I'm like, all right, they'll probably come in and try to take Jabba's territory again now that one side is dead and gone and the other side might be a little weakened. So that could happen in the book Boba Fett, or maybe it'll tie into the Mandalorian somehow.
Could be.
And because this is along those same lines, I'll bring up this from Shelf. Thanks for the super chat. Do you think the line that Boba says, "I might not be the person to rule," could that be hinting that Cobb Vanth could be a new leader of some sort for Mos Espa? And I'm like, yeah,
I think that
seems like.
I think that would be great if, like, he, assuming he makes it out and he wants to continue to be an authoritative figure, I think he could be I think he would be better suited to run this town. Because, like, Boba, most of the time, he didn't know what he was doing. He was asking Fennec, like, what should I do in this situation? But, like, Cobb Vanth has been running Freetown, formerly known as Mos Pelgo, for however long. So he knows how to run a town, I think, better than Boba does.
It's a pretty big jump, though, from Mos Pelgo to Mos Espa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big city. That's but I think Fennec is the one I'd be worried about. I think that I could see a power grab going on there, a little betrayal down the line. That's what I think. So.
People were suspicious of her throughout the series ever since Black Chrysanthemum attacked and like broke into Jabba's palace or Boba's palace. People were like, "Where was Fennec during all this?" So
she's not even there right away when he's like getting his butt kicked in that room, and the Power Rangers show up and help, but I don't know. I do think Cobb. Yeah, I don't know if Cobb is gonna would want to be the boss though. Like I feel like he'd probably want to put more of a democratic power structure in, even if he was in charge, where he could not have all the responsibility.
He's an interesting character because I love him to death. Like he represents something special for me, like as a big Star Wars book fan. He's like this minor book character that gets brought in to a live action show in a big way. And I love that about him. And I love him every time he shows up. But I'm also like, I want him to keep popping up. I have no idea what I want them to do with him. Just as long as he's still around.
Will H might be able to help you with that. He said, with Cobb being in the back to tank, what are the chances he gets his own prequel show? Also, why aren't we calling it Flashback to? Yeah. Good point.
The Flashback to Tank is very good. Yeah.
Everybody who goes to the back to tank gets a prequel show.
The code, Molly made up the code of Cobb Vanth earlier today, and I was like, "That's good. I like that."
Yeah. That's a show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Police Academy on Tatooine.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see him getting his own series. I just hope that he keeps kind of interweaving throughout the remainder of these stories.
Yeah. I saw a super chat. I gotta find it.
I guess that's just how we should expect these series to go from now on, like Ahsoka and Mandalorian season 3 and whatever is in this Mando-verse. I guess they're just going to be like the Book of Boba Fett was, where we're like, oh, this is called Ahsoka, but Mandalorian might pop in, Boba Fett might pop in. Like there might be a lot of interweaving where we kind of talked about this the past couple weeks, that this series kind of felt like the Clone Wars in the sense that we had an arc about Boba Fett, but we still jumped around with our focus, and we would watch a couple other characters and then return to the main story where, the Clone Wars is largely about Ahsoka, but not every episode is about her every time.
Yeah.
So I think that's just how this Mando universe is going to be.
Nathan W, thanks for the super chat, says Cobb Vanth could be a replacement for Cara Dune because we know her character is not coming back, so he could kind of take over the role that she was meant to play. Would that make sense?
I think she might come back.
I don't know that Cobb would want to join the New Republic. He just seems happy out on the Outer Rim.
He was very proud of his little stripes, though. That meant he was Marshal.
Yeah, which was Tatooine. Like he didn't have one of those little New Republic stars.
Sure. Yeah, he might.
I mean, I think that's one of those things that either they're gonna ditch that thing completely, or they'll bring her back, or they'll bring somebody back in that role. But I don't think they'll try to like take, a cool character that they already have and then just try to like just jam them into that storyline.
Yeah. And it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy said something about the Rangers of the New Republic being reworked. Instead of it being its own series, they're just going to work those storylines into everything that's already existing. So I could see Cobb Vanth being some sort of, obviously he's a lawman or considers himself one, and the New Republic's not doing a whole lot to help out Tatooine. So he might take it upon himself to get some people and go push these criminal syndicates out. But I don't know. I have no idea what the plan is for them.
Yeah, I mean, well, we did, what was it? Who did he stop him? Yeah, he stopped Mando. They had that little, drive-by.
Oh yeah, Carson
where they spotted him and he took off in the fast ship. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some breadcrumbs to lead them to Tatooine for sure. So we could see the New Republic there for sure.
Kins Schuler, thanks for the super chat. Also thinks that maybe Cobb Vanth would be a ranger.
I read that as a Power Ranger at first. And
well, he can do anything he puts his mind to.
You're right.
He could believe himself.
They already have the red Vespa though. His color is red. He's the Red Ranger. He needs that red Vespa.
He did get excited when he saw Mando's new starfighter, the N1. So he's like, man, I need my hot rod ship now, and we can go fly around space and get pulled over together.
Yeah.
Izzy, thank you for the super chat. How would you feel about Vanth with Cad's bracers and hat? He'd look great in that hat, but I think Molly said a couple times it needs to have like a tall bucket or whatever you call this part to keep his hair nice,
like an Abe Lincoln hat. He needs room for his hair because he's got great hair.
The bracers, are they talking about the?
I think his flamethrower thingies.
Those gauntlets, or is that just Mandalorians? What they call it?
I think it's a gauntlet, same kind of thing.
He also has those face things that like defend against like force choking. It pumps
oxygen into him, right? So he can like.
Yeah, my understanding is that it's specifically to defend against the force choke move by Jedi, since they can do a force choke. That modification makes the force choke not effective on him. That's what I
read. Joke's on you. Air's going straight into the lungs.
Yeah.
We've been just pulling up questions, but I'm going to go ahead and hop up to the top of the list because Hobbit F. Andy, thank you for the first super chat way earlier. It said, yo, my name is Brett and I like burgers. And also I'm very high right now. This is awesome.
We do quote that quite a lot.
I like burgers.
Let's see. 0M80, thanks for your super chat. Robo Cobb, part man, part machine, all Cobb. Yeah.
I will say I don't want them to modify Cobb too much. He is perfect as is. Like if he needs a little metal plate or something here or there, that's okay. But I don't want him to walk out looking like a battle droid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how much modding he's gonna need, because it was hard to tell like how hurt he was.
Sure, it's just his like lung or something. I mean, it can't be too much.
Yeah,
he wasn't too damaged. It was just one shot.
Yeah. Did anyone even ask Thundercat to show up, or does he just walk around like modifying unconscious people? Like Cobb's in the back there, he's healing, he's fine. He's like, I'm gonna install something.
In all right, I'll help myself.
He decided now he only works for Boba now, and now he just like mods people, whoever Boba wants him to.
Anyone that stops by.
Mm-hmm.
You want a new hand, new eye? I got you. Like I'm good. Just stub my toe. I'll give you a new toe. Bones McCoy, thanks for the super chat, says, called the Cad fight, but it was based on a Star Wars Explained vid. That was... It's rare that I'm right about my theories, but it felt good to be right about Cad Bane coming into the show. It was just... I kept finding ways to try to make it happen story-wise because I really wanted it to happen. And I just happened to be right for once.
Well, we were...
And what was the call? I don't remember what the... I don't know what the call was. My
guess was that the Pikes hired Cad Bane to kill the Tuskens. So I was half right. The Pikes killed the Tuskens. I kind of got to the Cad Bane part on accident, but I'll take it.
They did hire him. Somebody hired him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not specifically for that. That's all right.
That's pretty good. And did you come up with that before knowing that Cad Bane was going to be a part? Like you had no idea? You were just like...
Yeah. I guessed when Finnick Shand in her flashback episode, she said that it was unlikely that a Tusken Raider tribe would be wiped out by Nikto speeders. I'm like, all right, there's something more to this story. So I'm going to guess that the Pikes did it, and I'm going to take a shot and hope that they hired Cad Bane to do it, just because I wanted Cad Bane in live action.
We were throwing out a lot of other ideas for cameos a couple episodes ago, and he happened to be one of them.
That's a good call, man. Because the thing too is he just obviously he's in the Star Wars universe already, so he fits in. But this one so specifically, he fit in so well. If you didn't even know who he was, you'd be like, this makes sense that this guy's here.
Exactly. It was perfect. And they did it in the worst way because I love Cobb Vanth so much. And so the second you see him walking out of the desert, I was like, oh, hell yeah, it's Cad Bane. Oh, no.
But he's walking towards Cobb.
Yeah, like he's going to shoot him, and I hope he makes it.
Mm-hmm. It's tragic.
Jeff, thank you for your super chat. Says, I didn't know how much I wanted to see Baby Yoda snuggling with a Rancor, but it was amazing to see. Molly, thoughts?
There it is.
I didn't mind that scene, not one bit. It was lovely.
How do we feel about the fact that Luke just tossed Grogu in a ship and sent him off with R2?
Well, hold on now. R2 was there. R2 was there.
Luke trusts R2 to be a good babysitter, and he knows how to fly the ship.
I'm just imagining the scene where he's like, do you want the armor or do you want the lightsaber? And he picks up the armor and he's like, well, fine. Like, plops him in the seat. Get out of here.
R2, get him out of here. He's like crying and angry. My first student didn't work out.
and then he takes it out on his nephew, his next first student. He's extra hard on Ben, and we all know how that goes.
He created Kylo Ren.
Yeah, it's all Grogu's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah. Next one up here is from Bakey. Thank you. I think we didn't see any training scenes with the Rancor because that would have made its eventual appearance too obvious in the final fight. I still thought it was obvious that it was going to show up. But yeah, I don't think they really had time to show him training to ride the thing. Although I really would have loved to see Danny Trejo again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because like that seems like a waste to just use him for that one little scene and not bring him back.
Oh, but that's Trejo's thing, man. He loves that kind of
True.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It would have been. I think that I kind of could have used some of that. That would have been fun to watch. So a little training montage, only because everybody knew, like, you knew that he was going to come riding in with this Rancor monster. Like, to me, it wasn't like a big mystery or anything. And so if we would have gotten like a little taste of that earlier on, just to, really feel for that Rancor a little bit more, I think that could have been nice.
I totally agree. And it just felt a little jarring to go from, I would like to ride this Rancor. Okay, it's going to take a lot of time and discipline. And then the next time we see the Rancor, he's riding it. Yeah, like, no real problem. So, So I think it would have been cool to just get even one scene of them bonding together, not even failing at the writing, but continuing to bond. Maybe he gives it a name, because he did mention, like, what are we going to call you in that scene? So I really love the relationship between Boba and the Rancor as like this monster and this person who people just see as like a violent killer, and that's all they'll ever be. But the Rancor keeper is like, no, Rancors feel complex emotions. There's so much more. And I'm like, oh, they're the same. They're kindred spirits. So I just wanted to see that relationship develop a little more. But I'm not going to complain about getting to see Boba Fett ride a Rancor. That was sick.
Yeah. Like, I knew in the back of my mind that was probably going to happen.
I want that t-shirt immediately.
Oh, yeah. I want the t-shirt. I want the action figure. I want the Lego set. Give me all of it.
It's like, in my mind, I'm like, I know they had those moments. They bonded. I get it. I just wish we could have seen some of it.
Agreed.
Josu Marrero, I'm so sorry, I probably just mispronounced your name. It said, first of all, Colton, big fan. Also, I did enjoy that Peli, Grogu, and Mando chase scene. Was very wholesome and gave me Indiana Jones vibes. Thoughts?
Yeah, the when they're in the little what was she in, like a rickshaw or something? Is that what those are called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely, there's a lot, and maybe it was the desert stuff. There were a few things in here that gave some Indiana Jones vibes, I think, throughout the whole series. And I think that's also, just that, and because even that the other chase scene when we first met the mods, really, it just sort of felt like these were kind of characters out of that kind of world. But yeah, I definitely dig that. I get that, and I think that's on purpose. I think that's when they're really tapping into that kind of cool, we're running from a dangerous monster, but we're having a touching moment at the same time. Like, I feel like that's that's that world, that where Lucas and like Spielberg, like, they kind of live in that like high action adventure with a little bit of heart. And I think that scene definitely had that. I mean, I probably, each time I watched that sequence, I just love when Grogu does that little jump up into him. Oh man, come on. It's the best.
I melted into our couch when that happened. I was like, this is all I've ever wanted in life. I can die happy now.
Yeah, I think the series just took some big swings at some things, and sometimes it really worked and sometimes it didn't so much. But I appreciate it when they try to take some swings and try to hit home runs, even if it doesn't always work. And yeah, like some of that was like really silly today with Grogu jumping up and giving him a hug in the middle of this fight, but it was so fun to watch. So I hope
what's so fun too about Star Wars is that the things that will be like, I don't know if that's a home run, somebody else will be like, that was a home run,
exactly.
And that's why I love it so much, because when you start talking to people, you learn how to enjoy certain things because you get to see it from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Clever.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Plus, I also like that Peli is like, she's freaking out, but she's also like, hey, Mando, what's up? Like, in the middle of this giant fight, she's like, look who I brought. Look, it's the little guy. Hilarious.
Her flirting with the major domo for like a split second is great. Like, it was so nice to meet you. There's no time for that.
Oh my
like
God.
I want that spin-off series of just those two in a weird relationship.
Just like a reality show about Peli, I think would be wonderful. Like, yeah, I dated a Jawa, I dated a Twi'lek. Like, just what is she doing today? What are you working on in the garage? Which is honestly another. I remember when she was first introduced in the first season of The Mandalorian, I was like, I do not know about this character. And now, a few appearances later, I'm like, Peli's great.
100% on board with it. I had the exact same journey with that. I was just like, what is this? Like, this is too silly, too corny. And now I'm just so excited every time I see her. it's great having her in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just sometimes some things take some adjusting too.
Yeah. I was worried that what's the actor's name? Amy
Sedaris.
Amy Sedaris. Yeah, I was worried that her like her humor wouldn't fit in like the Star Wars universe, but now I'm like, oh, it absolutely does, and I would love a spin-off of her.
I'm still kind of like when she says that line about Jawas being furry, I'm like, did you ad-lib that? And is that just a coincidence that you nailed like what they were supposed to be? Or did someone tell you to say that? Because I feel like she could have just said that and it was a happy accident. But yeah, I love her. I mean, I think Jon Favreau even said something about that in one of the behind the scenes videos they did, where he was like, all right, Amy's on set today, so obviously the script's going out the window or something like that, where it's like, she's just going to say stuff and we'll make it work.
And it'll become canon.
Yeah. Amy's about to make some canon today.
I'm so jealous. I would love to go on set and just improv and make canon Star Wars.
You make something up and then someone has to go on Wikipedia and be like, yeah, that's true.
Next up, we got two from Star Orange 36. Thank you. The Darksaber seemed lighter for Din now that he has someone to protect. Ooh, I like that. Is Cobb the next daimyo? Also love the new Boba Fett theme.
Oh,
yeah, the theme song where they actually say his name. That was a good touch.
I thought I was crazy for a second. I was like, have they been doing this the whole time and I just didn't notice? But
I know, me too. That was weirred.
Yeah, that theme song. Yeah, and it's another thinking that Cobb can be the Daimyo. I could see that happening.
I definitely don't think he would take the title of Crime Lord, if that's what Daimyo means exactly. But I could see him taking some position. The Darksaber, I think that's a pretty good point, where it seemed like it was heavy to me watching him swing it around when he was first attacking the droid. I thought it seemed heavy, but then when Grogu showed up, he had like no trouble at all. So I think you're probably right on the money, is that, you know, when his convictions are there and when he has someone to protect, there's no trouble. He's not even thinking about the weight of the Darksaber. There's a really good line in Light of the Jedi, the High Republic book, that Bel Zettifar realizes that a Jedi is at their strongest when they are acting in the defense of someone else. And I'm like, I think that's basically the same idea as wielding the Darksaber.
Yeah. I didn't really notice that, but I like that somebody did notice that. That's cool. And then I
wanted to see that Darksaber to be a little bit more powerful.
Oh yeah, it was funny when
I thought it was going to be. He's like hitting this thing. I was like, what? Oh. No.
He's like, this Darksaber can't do everything like I thought it would.
I'm gonna go check on Hila real quick.
Hila's barking. Star Orange 36 also sent another super chat in. Peli's reaction to Grogu's name, the same roller coaster we went through. More Amy, please. Yeah, I love that
was great.
Peli is literally the voice of the audience in so many scenes. I remember when Mando shows up, she goes, "Look, everybody, it's Mando." And it's like she's basically just saying what the audience wants to say.
Oh,
and she's like, "Grogu, that's a terrible name."
I absolutely think that was on purpose, because that's like the exact reaction you had, Molly. You were like, "Grogu, I hate it. I'm never calling you that." And the next week you were like, "Grogu, yay!"
Well, now I have to. I don't have a choice.
It's Baby Yoda or it's nothing.
Yeah. But I hope she sticks around. I'm going to try to scroll back up.
Has got the next two super
I got a text from a buddy who I believe is watching this. So cool. Shout out to Sean. He said he's mad that Grogu didn't see Boba Fett and freak out because he's a clone. Because we know that Grogu, had the clones advance on him in his flashback, and Boba Fett would look just like the guys who.
That's true. I mean, most of them had helmets on at the time. But
I mean, I don't know. Did he see his face? I don't know if he saw his face.
I'm also like, Grogu was 20 or so years old at the time of the Clone Wars, so he would have still been pretty itty bitty, and he may not have even seen a clone's face. We don't know. He may have been in the nursery the whole time.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We hope so. Otherwise, or maybe that's how the Book of Boba Fett season 2 will begin. Is Grogu freaking out and killing Boba Fett?
Oh no,
because he looks like a clone.
He'll hurt Boba Fett, and then he's going to have to go back in the bacta tank and have a bunch of flashbacks.
Flashback of training the monster.
Maybe that's their species lives for a really long time, but has a terrible memory. So like Yoda just has to like write everything down, or else he'll forget.
He's got sticky notes all over his hut.
Yeah. It's like really memento.
Luke Skywalker? Skywalker sounds familiar. Whatever.
Notes are all out of order.
Leftist Hominid has the next 2 super chats. Thank you. Do you fear that Grogu's power in the Force, plus his attachment to Din, could eventually drive him to the dark side? Post the rise of Skywalker, I could see him trying to use the dark side to keep an aging Din alive. Oh, man. You're jumping so far ahead into sad territory. Just let him be a young, happy baby.
Yeah.
Could eventually, the race that race that they're from is pretty predisposed to the light side. So even if he doesn't necessarily become a Jedi, I would still think that it would be a hard for him to drive to the dark side, I think.
Yeah.
I want to agree with that. Just because you don't have to be a Jedi to serve the light side, and I don't know, I just don't want him to go that direction. So
it's not going to happen because we don't want it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It never will. Well, I kind of see, we've made this joke, but I kind of think it's true that Grogu could be like the new Ahsoka, and that's a character that can just keep popping up in stories for a long, long time. And I don't think that they're going to take the cutest character in Star Wars existence and turn him evil. And like, we'll jump 800 years into the future and he's all scarred, like, remember me? I just don't see them doing that.
But like, you remember when, I don't know if you guys remember the show The Smurfs, but they would get bit by these evil Smurfs that would like turn them purple, and then they'd be like evil. So I could see him going bad for like an episode or something. Like something happens and he's just like evil Grogu for a little bit, and they have to, subdue him. And
I could see him kind of, throughout his life struggling with the balance between the light side and the dark side, but I don't think he would go full dark side.
Well, something they've done really well in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian is they've shown Grogu like witnessing violence, and then we see him force choking Cara Dune or throwing the stormtroopers around. Like, he will also give into violence and stuff, and I think we're being shown that Din's way of life is affecting him. And even though I'm a little iffy on the fact that they already put Din and Grogu back together, I do kind of hope they keep that part of the story going. And I think they even cut to Grogu at one point while all of the fighting was happening, and he's just looking around like, whoa, this is crazy. So I think that that's something that's still worth exploring, but I hope that he never fully gives in, even if he does, struggle here or there. Yeah. And then leftist Hominid's second super chat was, will Boba Fett support free and fair elections? Good question.
We'll see.
I mean, he does. That'd be interesting. If the people wanted that, I kind of feel like right now, if the people wanted that, he'd say yes. He seems to be up for whatever the people want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, he doesn't really know what he's doing, so he's gonna fly by the seat of his pants. And yeah, I could see that happening.
That also could be a total arc for a second season. Maybe he starts off pushing back on that, but then realizes that that's the best way is to let the people of Tatooine rule themselves, and then and blow up Jabba's palace, and kind of just free the whole planet from that sort of futile rule.
There is still an aspect of, and they touched on it in this episode, where Cad Bane was like, "What is your angle?" And it sounds like his angle is just wanting to make like a real, actual community out of Tatooine, like he had with the Tusken Raiders, instead of being a loner. So I think that's enough motivation, but I have always been a little bit confused on like, why did you want to be a crime lord specifically? And he doesn't seem like he's doing much as a crime lord. So yeah, it seems like he should have been more after the mayor's position or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We have been going for an hour, Colton. I just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing, how you're feeling.
Buddy, let's go.
All right.
That's the best. I get my wife's not a big Star Wars fan, and my son is too, so I've got nobody to talk to about this.
That seems to be the sentiment of a lot of people, especially when we do these live streams. People in the chat are just like, yes, I've been dying to talk to someone about this. Happy to help. Next up, we've got the Akashachi. Oh, I probably butchered that, but
that sounded right to me.
Yeah. Sorry about butchering your name. Thank you for your super chat. I feel that people are getting excessively negative, but they keep forgetting that Mando season 1 had a lot of the same reactions from the fan base. Very true. A lot of people were either really hot or cold on a lot of those episodes. And with each episode being from a different director, there's just a lot of talk about, oh, this episode didn't fit with this one before it or after it. So if they continue to have these different directors move throughout the season like this, I think that will probably continue to happen.
Yeah, I remember the first episode of Book of Boba Fett being like, that's not really what I thought it would be. And then I thought back to the first episode of The Mandalorian, and I basically had the same thought. I think I more had that thought in the second episode, though, with like the Jawas and the Mudhorn. And I was just like, like it didn't feel like anything super significant in the galaxy happened. But then it took me some adjusting to be like, that's just not what this is yet. I feel like they're building towards it. But yeah, the Book of Boba Fett season 1 felt a lot like the Mandalorian season 1 to me, where there were some episodes where I was just kind of like, I'm not sure I'm gelling with this. And then you get to season 2 and I'm like, no, this is sick. And it made me appreciate season 1 even more, where like the Gunslinger episode, chapter 5 of season 1 of Mando. And I was like, I don't know about that one, but that's the one that introduced Boba Fett and like tied into all these other things. So I'm always willing to keep giving a show a shot, because so many series, not just Star Wars series, really kick off in the second season, and it's like you need the first season to just lay some groundwork.
I think sometimes it's just we kind of have and it's sort of in I think all the worlds of fandom, but there's almost people almost feel prideful in being critical sometimes, like if they can be almost like, I'm smarter than this thing, or I know more about the canon and this and that, and kind of back to what we talked about at the beginning, instead of just sort of like just releasing and be like, oh, this is just supposed to be enjoyable for a 10-year-old kid to watch, like instead of just like relaxing and going into that, it's like, well, hold on a second, this is why I think this theme was not really correctly and that's fair. People should always if they have these ideas, they want to get them out there, but when it gets sort of excessively negative, kind of like the commenter saying, like to me, I kind of start to just check out. And I not only do I think about things like, well, what about Mando season 1? I think about what people said about Star Wars when I first got into Star Wars and I was younger, and what, people were like, that stuff is stupid. That's dumb. Luke Skywalker's an idiot. Look at the Ewoks, like all the stuff that, people hated on that. When I was a kid, I was like, this is the best. So, I try to work hard to keep myself in that mode of just kind of enjoying it. And, I'll definitely bring up the things I have issues with, but it's never going to make me be excessively negative about it, or to, not, still enjoy it.
I mean, look at all the hate that the prequels got, and now we've come back around to people love them because like people that grew up with them are now adults, and they're just like singing the praises, like saying episode 1, 2, and 3 are their favorites. So a lot of this stuff, I think, eventually will come back around, and people will celebrate it a lot more.
The thing that I always like to bring up is the holiday special, because, it seems like the one thing that every Star Wars fan has agreed, like, that's okay to make fun of. But even so, it introduced Boba Fett, and he had that like disruptor rifle that then they brought into The Mandalorian. And just when Jon Favreau tweeted a picture of that rifle, that's all we knew about The Mandalorian. He was like, boom, here's a picture of that gun. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's the thing from the holiday special. Amazing. Like, we were so excited. So everything comes back around, no matter how silly it feels or how much it seems disliked at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point, Akashachi. Kin Schuler has the next one. Thank you. My comment previously about loving the story, but execution could be better. Last week's episode with Luke and Grogu made me feel like a kid again. Don't lose sight of the moments that bring you joy. That fits very well with what we're talking about.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, it was so cool to see Luke again and see him training Grogu, and yeah, that episode was pretty life-changing for a lot of people to be able to see that.
Getting to see Luke as a Jedi Master is awesome. It's so confusing because I'm like, oh, God, I love that episode and I love that story. It's still weird that it's in a series called The Book of Boba Fett, but whatever. Like, I'm going to let that go.
Yeah.
When we look back,
it is weird.
When we look back 10 years from now at all these shows, they're all going to like mesh together, and we're all just going to be like, you remember the whole Mandalorian verse?
That's true.
Stuff.
I cannot wait for that chronological like watch month where you just have to like go through everything in order. Yeah, no, I loved it, man. And I think, especially, as me, kid in the 80s and stuff, like to like see Luke Skywalker right after, Jedi, like doing his thing, training somebody. Oh man, that was so great. I could just watch that over and over again. I think I watched the fight from the end, from the finale of Mandalorian. I probably watched that over 100 times. I just have it on my iPad, so I can just like watch that one fight scene over and over again. I love it.
It's funny, my attitude towards Luke being in these stories, whenever someone asks me if he should be, I'm almost always like, I don't know, like I'm hesitant to do more Luke stuff. And then every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, that was amazing. So they keep doing it right. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Trying to find the next super chat in the backlog
I'll tell you
here.
It's from Tyler Hunt. Thank you, Tyler. It says wait, did we do this? Robo-Cobb, part man, part machine, all Cobb.
Yeah,
that sounds
we read
familiar.
that one.
Okay.
This is the one that I was looking for.
Well, it was worth reading again, Tyler.
Yeah, Zero the Hutt has the next two here. Will Grogu ever get more training from Luke? Speaking of, also felt this war that was hyped up was a letdown at the end. What changes would you have made? Yeah, we talked about this earlier, Alex, that the scale of it felt just not quite big enough, but they're always gonna, I think, run into that issue doing stuff like this in live action, because you know, you can't just do computer generated hundreds and hundreds of clone soldiers like we could in the Clone Wars. So it's a little bit harder to make this stuff feel like a larger scale, all out syndicate war. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely felt watching this, where I'm like, in your mind, when you hear like this is going to be a criminal underworld battle between the syndicates, I imagined more than like 20 people shooting at another 20 people.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of season 1 of Game of Thrones, to throw it to another show, where a lot of the major battles from that book happened off screen, and it's like, hey, look, we captured Jaime Lannister, and it was like, oh, that was a bigger moment in the book, but like that's the important thing that happens. And so, you know, in season 1, that's how it went. And then in season 2, we got the Battle of Blackwater, and then 4 was the Battle at the Wall, and 6 is the Battle of the Bastards. And like they keep getting bigger. And that tends to be the pattern for a lot of Star Wars shows, even animated ones, where the stories for season 1, the scope of season 1 is a lot smaller. And then in season 2, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think that's just kind of the business side of things affecting the storytelling.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, they obviously were doing, have to deal with the budget and stuff like that when you're dealing with live action. But the war. I had almost kind of the exact same thought. Like it was a cool battle. It didn't really necessarily to me feel like a season finale battle. It felt a little disjointed. What changes would I made? I always love the capture and escape trope that happens in Star Wars a lot. So I would have loved to maybe see, Bubba and those guys get captured or somehow like taken in by the syndicate, and then they have to like break out, crash their ship into the ground, do something, I don't Monday morning quarterback a show, but to me it was just kind of like, it was just very much like they hid behind a wall for 15 minutes while things blew up until and then until somebody's like, I'm gonna get a Rancor, and then the Rancor like batted them around for a little bit, and then in the middle there was like a short little gunfight, so I mean it just felt a little disjointed to me, and kind of the scale of it was a little weird. And I think there's also like, and maybe it is because of we've already seen kind of in Mandalorian, like and it's it's a trope in these kind of things where like as the series goes, he keeps interacting with people, and you're like, we're going to see that person at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That person's going to show up at the end and be like part of the team. And this one had it, but it just didn't feel as organic, and like just for whatever reason, I just wasn't as like when the people from Freetown showed up, I wasn't like, yeah, they're there. I was just like, oh, and they're like kind of like but they like so it just felt like kind of those characters who like showing up. I'll accept it obviously for Mando. Everybody else, it was just kind of, I just I wasn't that into the mods. Ultimately, I wasn't like, oh man, I can't wait to see how the mods climb up there and shoot with their little guns. Like I just wasn't that amped up into this war. So I definitely feel like it was kind of hyped up, and then it was a bit of a letdown. But maybe on rewatches, maybe after we see what happens with these characters in this next season, I'll be able to go back and go, oh, okay, this is kind of the incubator of what was things to come. And I do not think that Grogu is going to get any more training from Luke. I think he made his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Luke
I agree.
Won't let him eat frogs, so he was like, nah.
That was the reason why Luke's like, I'll give you this great moment where you see all the frogs. He's like, I just wanted one. I'm just hungry. Get me out of here. But yeah, I think it would be a mistake to keep sending Luke or Grogu back to Luke like every season. It's just pick one or the other. And I agree, Colton, that he made his choice. I also agree about the fight, but to be fair, you mentioned earlier like the flying around part with Boba Fett and Mando, and then like fighting back to back. I was like, that part was sick. I could watch that forever. Then yeah, there was kind of the wonky part where the droids were chasing 15 people and they just hid. And then the Rancor came out.
Hid behind
and
a wall, and not only that, this is the stuff that always gets me. Like, they hid behind a wall that was like this wide, and they're like getting blasted. But then when the Rancor pushes him, he just crushes through. The droid just crushes through a building. So the droid could have just walked over and crushed through the wall and shot them all. So I don't know. There's there's things like that where it's like I'm okay when it happens for a little bit, but like after about like 5 minutes of just watching them stand behind the wall, I was like, come on, we gotta figure out something else.
I think a lot of the things in that battle where I think it was just directorial choices where even if it's not that big, instead of showing a bunch of wide shots of just like a handful of people running away from one droid, they could have kept it closer in on the people that were actually in this battle, made it a little more personal, more impactful. Like, I think that there were probably decisions that could have been made to make it feel bigger than it was, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Very true. Also, the second super chat they sent in was the same thing. They may have sent it in twice. So, but I did want to say, they asked what changes you would have made. Something that I thought of really early on because of all the story we're getting with Boba and the Tuskens. I thought that like the finale would be this big fight, and then Boba would be like recruiting other Tusken tribes to come and help them fight. I would have loved to see a bunch of Tusken Raiders just like come in and help them fight for their town. You know, that's their land. I really wanted to see more Tusken stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Like it almost like the Tuskens almost kind of felt exploitive, right? I mean, it was just like they use the Tuskens. They'll be like, look, Boba Fett found his humanity. Then they murdered them all, and and then he like, he gets his revenge on the biker gang. We all know it wasn't the biker gang. It's never that easy. And then he doesn't even kill the people who did it. And yeah, we didn't, like, why didn't like none of the Tuskens survived? And there's so many other ones out there. Like, it would have been great to see him bring them into the fold. Like, hey, we know that you worked with this one tribe. You helped them take down the train. We're here to help you. Like, it would have been great to get some kind of, and maybe that's something they're holding on for season 2. I really hope that they would, because it really did, like, it felt very, and obviously they're not real people. They're fictional characters, but there was something exploitive about how the Tuskens were kind of used in that story to just sort of be like, look, he learned his humanity from these people, and then they all got murdered, and now don't worry about them. He's got other friends.
Yeah, they got fridged. I mean, I agree that it's just they were there for story purposes and then just like out. And it would have been a great way to kind of wrap it up for the series, but also for things that they've been talking about in both seasons of The Mandalorian. Like, if you're going to bring The Mandalorian, the character, in, like, you could also talk about some of their themes where that was the first time we really started to explore the Tusken Raiders as a culture more than just what they were in Attack of the Clones and A New Hope and stuff. That if we're talking about these themes of community and tribes and like coming together, he could have united like all the Tusken tribes to come back, fight for Tatooine, and then maybe talked about Mos Espa about like, hey, treat these people better, give them their land back. Like, you should all be equals here. They could have done something like that.
I'm holding out hope for, like, if we get another season of this, that they'll explore that a little further. Because all Boba has to do is like tell them his story, show them the gaffy stick that he made, and is like, yeah, I'm one of you, and I would love to see him, just like recruit a bunch of them and have them come in and help fight.
Yeah. Speaking of the gaffy stick, Molly, we haven't talked about, you called that he would beat Cad Bane with the gaffy stick.
I did. Whoa, I was like, I thought that maybe he would like completely give up the armor because it's such a symbol of who he used to be and his father and his past. And I was like, he's going to ditch the armor and he's going to take Cad Bane out with his gaffy stick, because we kind of saw that with his fight with Black Chrysanthemum, where he got knocked out of the back to tank. He's like struggling and trying to reach for his armor and his gauntlets and stuff, and he can't get to it, but he can get to his gaffy stick. And so he uses that, and he's better with that, seemingly. He just like looks like he feels more comfortable fighting with it, because it's something he worked hard for and he earned. So I was pretty proud of that one.
So he did. We were both half right. He didn't give up all the armor, but he did win with the gaffy stick. Still felt good.
Yeah.
Rainer Bless has the next one. Just says Finnick wiping out competition so Boba can rule. And yeah, I think talking about her running out to assassinate all of those criminal leaders, which was a sick scene.
She'd been talking about this whole season, like, yeah, you need to rule with fear. Like, you should probably be killing some people and showing them that you mean business. I was like, yay, Finnick finally got to kill some people that she wanted to do.
It's fun to they have referred to her as a master assassin multiple times, and so I was glad to see her be a master assassin.
Yeah,
you just take down a bunch of people in a bunch of ways really fast. I like that.
Yeah,
she rocks. I do think she's going to betray Boba Fett.
we got a lot of theories about that, and there's certainly still room for that if they do another season. Mr. Doctor, thanks for the super chat here. Grogu getting better with / remembering the Force. Still needing a nappy nap after, but did 3 or 4 things instead of 1 and done. Yeah, he's getting better.
That's
he's
true.
Flexing his little Force muscles. He's working them out.
Yeah. He's pulling bolts out of the droids.
Yeah, I was like fully expecting that whole droid to just like crumple and fall over, but Grogu was like trying really hard, and he pulls out that one bolt, and he's like, "Oh, well, that's all I got."
I mean, it worked. It worked. That's all I had to do. But I love that it hit him and like sent him rolling back. and yeah, then he calmed the Rancor down. So he controlled a Rancor instead of just a Mudhorn. Like, we're seeing him grow in experience. And yeah, I didn't think about how much he did with the Force before having to finally take a nap. But that's a good point. He didn't do just one thing and tucker himself out.
Yeah, he did 2 things. Or
they were big things.
They were big things.
Pretty big things.
It was someone finally fed him. That was the thing. He got those dung worms or whatever.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
Gave him the fuel he needed.
Peli, again, coming to the rescue from the audience point of view. Someone feed him.
Put him on a box of like dung worm cereal, where you're like, dung worms gives me the energy I need to use the Force.
Oh, you know they're all about that product placement and selling more Grogu merch. They would absolutely do that.
Ken Plume, thank you for the next super chat. Our friend Ken says it felt like a 10-episode season chopped down to 7. I think I could kind of see that. Like, I could have used more episodes with Boba Fett if we were doing a little Mandalorian interlude in there. But yeah, I also don't find myself... Go ahead.
I was just saying, an odd number season always feels weird. And the fact it was an 8 or 10. Yeah, I feel like they did chop some stuff down in there. I don't know if it was just budget stuff, but yeah, 100%. It definitely felt like they had a lot more story that they could have told, which maybe would have like helped some of the things that were a little harder to, kind of the mods and some of the other stuff. I feel like just the culture of that city, I think we could have used a little bit more time in to really understand, and care about it. But I think a couple more episodes would have helped.
I agree, but I also find myself not going like I'm just clamoring for more in a way. Like I will absolutely watch a season 2, but I have a couple ideas for a couple scenes here or there that I'd like to see, but I don't know that I could fill out a whole episode myself. But then again, they've done so many things that surprised me, and that's why I'm not a writer. And I just watch and talk about it afterwards. I'm sure they could have found some stuff to fill that space.
Yeah, I feel like because, and a lot of people have said this, because we got essentially 2 whole episodes with no Boba Fett. He was in one of those, but he didn't have any lines. I think we were just missing a little more story for Boba Fett, and that may have made it feel like a little bit more well-rounded as a show. But I don't know. I liked it still.
Yeah. Still nailed it.
Dr. Mafongo, thanks for the super chat. Luke sounded dismayed when he was speaking to Ahsoka about Grogu, remembering more than me teaching him. The armor choice had to have delivered a blow to Luke's psyche. First steps towards exile. Was Luke
He's like, I'm done. This stinks. I'm going Octo.
Offended that, like, dude, I showed you could have your own little tiny lightsaber and you didn't pick it? What?
Yeah, it's interesting, but we also don't know. We don't really know what happened. Maybe Grogu picked the lightsaber, but Luke could feel that he, was doing that just to make Luke happy. Maybe, there's, and there is definitely, I feel like even though it seems like it would be maybe an easy first student, I feel like that's a tough first student. Even though he's so powerful with the Force, it's like his past is so weird and we're not sure exactly what's happened. It's almost like you kind of want to get somebody who is not very good with the Force to work with first. And then
someone who doesn't have as much, someone who maybe doesn't have as much intense trauma that Grogu has from surviving Order 66 and everything that he's been through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to give...
I did like also that Mando called it a shirt. Like I would have thought that he would have called it like his chainmail or like some kind of like colorful armor word, but he just called it a shirt. He was like, "Oh, you put a shirt."
This is the same guy that in the last episode he was like, "Is that a bench?" He's a man of few words.
He needs to break out a thesaurus every once in a while.
Nice shirt, kid.
Bakey has the next question. Thank you, Bakey. Was the title of Daimyo ever used by Jabba or Bib in canon or legends prior to the Book of Boba Fett? Not that I know of, but I don't know. It wouldn't super surprise me.
I remember it was kind of one of those words that we were like, has this ever been used in Star Wars before? Because they kept saying it, and I was like, am I just missing something here?
I mean, like, it's a real world word, and I think that was just... They were like, we're going to wrap that into Star Wars. But no, I do not. According to Wikipedia, this is the first time it was used. It was in the Book of Boba Fett.
Good use of the word. Andrew Pilla has the next one here. Am I the only person who saw Cad Bane smirk? Am I going crazy?
I don't know. He was smirking all the time.
Oh yeah, I think he was definitely smirking.
He saw some smiles. Is there a specific? I wonder if there's a specific spot that he's talking about. But I definitely felt like he was.
I have a ton of screenshots of him just like cracking a little smile out of the corner of his mouth, or just smiling big. He's got a great smile. Show off those teeth.
Show off those pearly whites. Yeah.
Bridget Pettigrew has the next super chat. Thank you. Says R.I.P. to the Gamorreans. Yeah, we haven't talked about them, and that sucked. I liked them.
I had such an intense reaction to that because it was like so brutal to not only have them killed, but they just like fell off the side of that cliff, and I was like, no. They were being loyal to Boba, and I was sad to see them die.
To bring it back, Andrew Pillis in another super chat just to say he was smirking after he got stabbed.
After he got stabbed? Oh, well, that's a tough one because I think like a pain wince can look like a smirk as well.
Or he
might
had
just be a limitation with the puppet.
He had just told Boba that he was a killer, so maybe he was like, "Ha, gotcha."
I do like that. I do like that idea because he was trying to kind of prove Boba was still that person. He's like, I knew you were a killer. Go ahead and do it. And then, yeah, if Boba Fett stabs him, which he does, then that means that Cad Bane was right. Which I do like because I feel like that means Boba Fett's journey is not over. You know, he's a better person, but we still get those moments where his crazy eyes come out and he's going to stab somebody. That happened a few times this season. So I don't think his journey is over. Oh, and Mad Fella Duke sent in another super chat. Is timely. That my boys, the 2 Gamorrean guards, though.
Yeah, that's a good bummer. And a lot of people were like, no one even said that, like, oh, sucks that we lost our 2 guards.
No,
they were just like,
no. When they're like walking through at the end, yeah, nobody was like, oh, too bad about those guys. They're just like, whatever.
Hey, can I have a melon? Yeah, they were there the whole time from episode 1 to episode 7, and I was sad to hear those little squeals as they fell.
Squeals.
It's the noise they made.
Eric Foster has the next super chat. I guess he sent it to Rainman because it's not coming up here, but they said, since episode 6, I've been thinking that all the Mando-verse shows could be renamed to Star Wars The Code. Seems that each character in these shows are exploring their own moral and ethical code.
I like, yeah, Colton, we've been talking about with the Mandalorian episodes mixed in, we were trying to think of another title for this series that would have kind of encompassed everything. Do you have anything like that in mind?
For the Book of Boba? Instead of book? Yeah, I like the code. Yeah, like yeah. I mean, I would say maybe something like Tatooine based, but then you do have a couple episodes where we go to other places. But I think the code, our codes, the way.
The way. That's last week. Hello Greedo suggested Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and I really like that. But I'm also like, but it's kind of about both of them not being bounty hunters anymore. Yeah. But I still just love that title.
No more bounty hunting.
Tales of the Ex-Bounty Hunters.
The Diary of an Ex-Bounty Hunter.
Whatever they end up calling the retirement home that will inevitably house all of these bounty hunters, it's going to be called that.
Yeah.
Madison Badger has the next one here. Thank you, Madison. Any episode with R2-D2 is awesome. I hope C-3PO gets some love too. They are the original narrators after all. Yeah.
Oh,
3PO's been in everything though.
Yeah, R2's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, in a lot of ways it's 3PO's story, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean them being the original narrators is kind of George's intent.
I do want to, yeah, I mean, what did Anthony Daniels recently tweeted or Instagrammed something about how he was like in a mocap suit doing something for 3PO. We think it's for a droid story show that's movie or whatever that is for Disney Plus that I keep forgetting about. But yeah, I think 3PO will get some attention here soon.
Yeah, that droid story might be all about him.
Maybe it will be them narrating the story of Star Wars from their point of view, like completely how they're the heroes of everything, which R2 has that argument. I don't know about 3PO. Al has the next question. Thank you, Al. It says, Peli and Major Domo rom-com spinoff. Who says no? I'm into it. I like
it.
I'm glad that the post-credit scene was something simple and something that didn't necessarily have to be part of the story. Like, part of me kind of wants them to, if they're going to do post-credit scenes, to keep doing them like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 style, where there were a ton of them and none of them had to be in there. They're mostly jokes, and I would absolutely see a joke post-credit scene of the Major Domo and Peli just hanging out.
Mm-hmm. He was hilarious. Every part with him in it, he just like played that part so well. He understood the assignment when it came to portraying that character. I got so excited whenever he was on screen.
As soon as Boba picked up the tablet and he's like gonna write, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so great. He's gonna walk out there and when he gets to the part where he's supposed to read nothing and his face just drops, he's like, well, what is it you guys want?
Maybe you should tell me
so
what you want. It's fun to see that kind of transition from, in the first episode, he's like really cocky and like condescending. And now he's kind of on the back foot where Boba Fett has him working for him. And he's like, I'll go out and I'll grovel. I don't care. It's fun to see that transformation.
What if he had written on the tablet for him to say, like, Boba's very busy. He's got a very busy schedule. Do you have an appointment? Like all of that stuff that
the stuff that he was said given before.
Oh, you just reminded me of the dude that worked at the front desk of the mayor's
other
office.
Guy at the mayor's office.
What's up with him? I loved him. Is he okay?
That looked like maybe a summer job for him. He wasn't feeling it.
I thought he was great in his two scenes.
He's headed back to the moisture farm. He wasn't cut out for it.
He's like, this internship sucks.
Major Domo keeps pushing me around.
Joseph Ripley, thanks for the super chat. With Boba and Fennec talking about not being cut out to lead Mos Espa, do y'all think Cobb would be the one to charge the city? Did we already read that one? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Well, we've touched on that idea that, I don't know that Cobb would want to lead a city, but I could see them setting that up if that's where they wanted the story go. If they were like, Boba Fett needs to go to other planets now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cobb seems like the type that enjoys the small town life. He likes being like one of the only 2 or 3 guys at the bar. So yeah, he might not fit into the bigger town.
But he's really going to be modded though. We don't know. Like after like people have like heart surgery or something, sometimes their personality changes a little bit.
It's true.
He does really like that line of like, I'm the one that tells people what to do in these parts. And it's like, yeah, when there's only 8 people, you can handle that. But a whole city, I don't know. Izzy XL sent another super chat, thank you, and was just clarifying earlier when we were talking about Cobb Vanth possibly getting Cad Bane's hat and bracers. He meant the wrist weapons.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Like his little gauntlets.
That they meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll jump into Mind Infinity. Thank you for the next super chat. What disappointed me in the finale was how lackluster the ending was in comparison to episode 5. Also, Grogu shouldn't have come back so soon. I am kind of on board with that. I kind of was hoping that Grogu would be gone for like a season of The Mandalorian, but I still did get what I was hoping to get while they were separated. Like, I wanted to see Din go back to bounty hunting and not really find it to be the same. And they gave me that. So if they're ready to put Grogu back in the story, I'm like, all right.
Grogu's like one of, if not the biggest star of a lot of these shows now, so they're not going to leave him out for too terribly long. But yeah, we talked about earlier that, like, does this take some of the excitement away from returning to Mandalorian season 3 that we already know? Okay, well, Grogu's back with Din now, so we just took care of all that.
I think it could go one way or the other, but I definitely think it takes away the like what everybody would be talking about in Mandalorian season 3 is when's Grogu coming back. And now we don't have to worry about that. Mandalorian season 3 could start off and it's going to be Mando and Grogu, flying through space, doing crazy shit. And we know what we're getting and we're all excited for that. We all know we love that. So I think in a way, this kind of like so they didn't have to deal with that with season 3 of like, how do we get these guys together? They just kind of shoved it into this thing, this little short story. And, it definitely felt like it was back pretty soon. It did feel quick, but I could see how that can benefit doing this next season of Mandalorian, where they don't have to spend a ton of time trying to get these guys back together. They can just be together now.
I honestly think that's a great point I hadn't considered, where I'm imagining the live streams where like every week people would be like, when's Grogu coming back? When's Grogu coming back? And it's like, you know what? We don't have to worry about that. He's coming back. He's already here.
He's there.
And there's still like, I'm really excited about all the Darksaber stuff with Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians. So I'm really invested in that side of the story still. So I've still got plenty I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the fact that they did so much story building for Mando season 3 in the Book of Boba Fett, that just means they have so much other story to tell in season 3 that they just had to get this stuff out of the way to move things forward. And I'm excited to see all the Mandalorian related stuff. Eric Schwarm has the next one here. Did you?
Oh no, I was going to read that. I couldn't remember whose turn it was.
Love these post-episode live streams. When/how do y'all think we'll see Jango Fett's / Jaster Muriel's Mandalorian background and the Mando Civil Wars?
That's something I feel like the Mando Civil Wars, at least I could see that being movies. I think that would be cool. Jango and Jaster, I don't know. We made the joke about the Journal of Jango Fett, so it could be the Journal of Jango and Jaster or something. But I'd really like to see Mandalorian Civil Wars as a movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we're going to see any more of Jango Fett's story.
Yeah, it's like they explored it in comics, which are legends, but you can still fit them in pretty well with what's currently canon. So for now, especially since they mentioned Jaster Muriel, I'm like, that's it. That's how it went down until they tell me something else.
Well, now we know how much of a terrible dad he was to Boba, so it's like going back and learning more about his story.
Yeah.
We know he ends up being a terrible dad and dying on Geonosis, so that's all I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, he was raising his son to be a killer. That's not the best.
That's all he knew, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was getting paid a lot for his DNA.
Bones McCoy has the next 3 super chats. Thank you, Bones.
Wow,
my
Bones.
call. Yeah, Bones. My call was Boba losing a gunfight to Cad, then winning with the Gaffy. Nice.
Okay.
Based on Alex's video with the Black K back to fight, Mando gadgets failing him, etc. Yeah, sometimes we get it. Sometimes.
Sometimes I get it, and Alex makes videos about it.
That was a collaborative effort.
It was. I'm the brains behind this.
Bones also said, you get a call from Lego. They'll let each of you pick one cool scene or vehicle or moment from Book of Boba Fett, and they'll make a set of it. What's your pick?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's Boba riding the Rancor.
Yeah. Or the Rancor sleeping with Grogu. Have it interchangeable. Have him either come with a little Boba that rides him or a little Grogu that sleeps next to him.
It can be both.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I would like is Tashi Station.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
It would be cool to get a Tashi Station set.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd want like the Mando Boba shootout where they come out of the sanctuary and they're flying around. So you could have a couple Pike minifigs and a couple buildings, and then just have like an antenna or something that you would attach strings to, and then you can tie the two Mandalorians to it and just spin it around. Yeah. I think that'd be my go-to. And Bones' last question was, do y'all think that Pedro was ever on the Boba set?
That's a good question.
Don't think so. I believe he was filming The Last of Us, and I think he still is filming The Last of Us, so I think they just probably had to get him for voiceover for this.
What was the guy's name that did the suit stuff? You said it in a video recently.
Oh my god, I'm blanking. It's
Kevin something?
No, and now I'm blanking on his grandfather. The
Someone
famous
in chat.
the famous Western. Oh my god, this is killing me.
John Wayne is his grandfather?
Yes, Brendan Wayne. Thank you.
Brendan
Wayne.
Wayne.
He's John Wayne's grandson, Brendan Wayne, and Lateef Crowder is the stuntman who does like all of the fighting.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe, if I had to guess, it was all Brendan and Lateef for this, and then they had Pedro do voiceover when he was available.
I wonder if Pedro was bummed that he couldn't have that special like reunion moment with Grogu himself, because I would be pissed.
Yeah, someone else got to hold that puppet.
That he didn't do the scene with the puppet. Oh man.
I just remember that picture of him in the recording studio holding the pillow while he's doing his lines, so he feels like he's holding Grogu up. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet.
I just have to admit that I was trying to think of John Wayne, and the only cowboy I could think of was Cad Bane, and that was a little embarrassing for me.
Who's a cowboy?
It's either Cad Bane or Cobb Vanth. It's no one else.
Where have all the cowboys gone? This is one we kind of touched on earlier from Super Chat from JH. Do you think the final shot of Bane's body with the audible beeping and flashing beacon could indicate that he's still alive?
And the very next question is also from Nitrox Air and says basically the same thing. What do you think the blinking light on Cad's chest was? I feel like they focused on it for way too long, possibly Toto trying to reach him. I'll admit, I did not notice it at all the first watch that we had. I was probably just talking to you, Molly, that I just missed it, but I
didn't really pick it up either, but it's not till actually after doing this show with you guys that I'm like, I think this guy's definitely going to be alive. I think that beacon is bringing in somebody in a ship and then come in, scoop him up, and get him out of there. Because they, it's too. They put too much. It sounds like they put too much of a blinking light on it.
It's interesting because you had it on the episode on earlier with the descriptive audio turned on. And the person doing the descriptive audio points it out and says something like it's beeping and flashing, but that's kind of their job, is to point little stuff like that out. But still, the fact that they pointed it out,
like if it were nothing, if it were just part of his costume flashing, and that had always been there, they would not have mentioned it in descriptive audio. But the fact that they show it and they're like, and there's a flashing light on his chest, I'm like, all right, that
I was going back through like Clone Wars episodes to see if we ever saw that little plate on his chest there, but he's always got that jacket on over it, so I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something, and I wouldn't be upset to see his droid Toto at all in live action.
Yeah, because didn't Seth Green do Seth Green did the voice for that little guy, and he's adorable.
I think like maybe for season 1 they were like, Toto's a little too much to throw on. Like I always reference my parents as kind of like we like Star Wars, but we'll just watch what you tell us to watch, basically. And it's like,
Yeah.
if they saw Toto, they'd be like, huh.
Okay.
Thorough Unfiction, thanks for the next super chat. The final grades for this episode was an A from them. R.I.P. Cad Bane, maybe. Piggy Smalls 1 and 2 off the cliff. Maori from the show Firebite were in this. I don't know that show.
Thurl's been giving us their grades for each episode. So.
Oh, okay. And this one got an A?
This one got an A. Yeah.
Nice.
Also, Alex, I got a message from our mod to check the replies to the Live Now tweet that I made, because someone made a poster that you're going to want to see.
All right. Well, I'll do that while you read the next one.
Let me see where we are here. King George, thanks for the super chat. Was that a King Kong nod with the Rancor climbing the building?
100%.
Even swatting at Mando like he was a bloody biplane? And was it too much? Oh, it was absolutely a nod to King Kong.
I didn't think it was too much.
I didn't think it was too much. What I loved the most, this was pointed out on another live stream I was watching from Maggie Lovett. And she said, like, she pointed out all the King Kong stuff, but then went even further and was like, oh yeah, Din is absolutely the damsel in distress here. And I just like that connection. That Din is the screaming woman in this situation.
So many times he gets himself in over his head.
Head out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to head out. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks to everybody in the chat. This was super fun, and I can't wait to come back and talk to you guys with some of these other shows.
Can I ask you one more question before you go?
Of course.
This one's from our good friend Zach, who is a real life friend, also loves Parks and Rec and Superstore, and just wants to know, if you could join the Star Wars universe, what character would you want to play?
Oh man, if I could join the Star Wars universe, what character would I want to play? Oh, that's a tough one, because I mean, all the characters, I love the performances of the characters that exist. So I don't know if I want to like take over somebody's character.
Or you could be a kind of character, bounty hunter, or Jedi.
A kind of character. I mean, I definitely would love to be a Jedi. I don't think anybody would not want to be a Jedi. But you know what? I'd love to be? I'd love to be the sand person who takes his mask off and you get to meet and talk to.
And I like that.
I like that. I'd like to be that guy who's like, I take my mask off and I'm like, hey, where we used to live in the water. But guys, thanks so much for having me, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much for joining us, Colton. This was a blast. Have a great night.
Take care. Bye.
See ya.
See ya. Well, he was a delight.
Just delightful. knows a lot about Star Wars too. That's
I mean, I figure if he follows Star Wars Explained, he's got to know his stuff.
And Force Center.
Yeah, and Force Center. Well, like I said earlier, that's how I found out that he loved Star Wars, was because he sent a question to Force Center podcast, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna message him. Tony White, thank you for the next 2 super chats. It says, I enjoyed the show, but wonder if Grogu and Din got reunited so quickly because Grogu is such a moneymaker for Disney. Yeah, that kind of feels like part of that could have played into it, I hope not. Like, I hope that Favreau is still telling the story that he wants to tell, and not like, I guess right now I'm trusting that he wanted to separate Din and Grogu for a time, bring them back together. I agree that it seems fast, and it seems like it's making the choice to do that at the end of The Mandalorian season 2 seem less impactful. But at the same time, one of my favorite series is The Good Place. And I was telling Molly earlier, that's a show that just shifts gears so many times, and they'll make a story decision, and I'm like, oh, that's what this season's going to be about. and then they'll resolve it in like 4 episodes and do something else. And I'm like, whoa, like just their efficiency in storytelling, I was always impressed with. So, if John has an idea that he needs to get to quickly, then I'll respect it. It might seem fast right now, but I'm hopeful that when we get to The Mandalorian season 3, we're going to be like, oh, I get it. I see why.
Yeah. I'm going to continue to have faith in the people running the show that everything will kind of make sense in the end. So I'm not too worried about it. But more Grogu, who's going to complain?
Sure. I mean, that, like, in my mind, I was like, this seems a little bit fast, but I also smiled the second he showed back up. Like,
I mean, look at him sleeping with the Rancor, taking a little nap.
And Tony's other super chat says, do you think Din got much better with the Darksaber because Grogu showed up and Din was more invested? Yes, I do. I think that is a very good insight.
Mm-hmm. It's a good observation that I don't think we caught.
I didn't. The second he has something to fight for that he truly believes in, he's like, I can do this all day.
Yeah.
It's the idea that he has to be responsible for all of Mandalore. That's where he's like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, because he doesn't, he knows some of the history, but otherwise he doesn't know that much about Mandalore because he's always asking people about stuff. And so obviously he's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable with that.
He doesn't even know what a bench is.
Does he even know he's in Star Wars?
That's still one of my favorite little TikToks or YouTube videos, like Din Djarin not knowing he's in Star Wars for 3 minutes.
Calling R2 droid and calling, is that a bench? And yeah. Did you find that tweet, the picture on Twitter?
I did. And I did appreciate it. Oh, you gotta...
An Alex Damon daydream.
I didn't even see that. I didn't notice that at all. Let me get credit for who did that.
Oh wow.
Drace 1985. The at Drace, excuse me. I'm getting to that point where I can't talk anymore. At the Drace 1985. Thank you for that. Oh, Drace 90. Thanks. Yay!
Yay! Yeah, we haven't even hit the 2-hour mark yet, and you're already on the struggle bus.
Look, I didn't sleep well, and I've been talking about Star Wars all day. I'm just getting to the point where, like, I'm stumbling over my words, and if someone asks me about the world between worlds, I'll fall apart.
You will just implode.
But excellent poster, and the daydream is very good.
Yes.
Directed by Paul Verhoeven, great.
I don't know who that is.
He directed RoboCop.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I've ever actually seen RoboCop. Anyways, that's... I don't want to go off on a tangent. Where are we at here?
Matt Boshi.
Matt Boshi, thank you for your super chat. I just figured out that you can go all the way back in the chat and bring these up. So
that's new on StreamYard. They
okay, because I felt bad that I hadn't been doing this whole time, but I will continue to do this now. Thank you for your super chat, Matt. I really want to see a teen sitcom / drama series akin to Saved by the Bell and Degrassi set in the Jedi Temple. Oh my gosh. If we're missing a big type of show in Star Wars, it's this. I would love this.
I don't disagree. Like, reading Dooku Jedi Lost, specifically the parts where he's a youngling and a Padawan with Sifo Dyas, and they're sneaking around the Jedi Temple, and they're breaking into the Bogan collection. It's very Harry Potter. And I haven't read all the Harry Potter books, but from the ones that I have read, I was like, this is fun. I would love to see more of this. We don't get to see a whole lot of the Jedi Temple, especially from a Padawan's point of view.
Yes. We've talked about like getting to see more of the younglings arc from the Clone Wars. Like if we got to see them grow up. It would be like Boy Meets World, but in Star Wars. Oh,
Oh man, you're speaking to my heart.
It'd be so good. Oh, and Tara Sanube would be Mr. Feeney. I can't. Now, if someone wants to Photoshop Tara Sanube as Mr. Feeney, I will die.
That is like probably the perfect person you could have picked for that.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah W, thanks for the next super chat. It's a super sticker. Okay, yeah. In parentheses, it said hearts and eyes with mouth open emoji. And I was like...
We can't show those on the stream with StreamYard, but we can read the descriptions that
makes a lot more sense.
Rain Man puts in the thing for us.
I was like, what an odd thing to type out. Super sticker makes sense. Thank you, Hannah.
And Miranda here. What's up? Thank you for this next super chat here. Happy series finale. This episode was tough. Kept thinking someone was going to kill our Ranky, and then it did the King Kong climb, and I was sure Grogu would force choke it, but I was happy. Too much Mando, but good. Thanks.
I think that's a great point about Grogu, where in the past, Grogu has been a little more aggressive with the Force. If you look at what he's done with it, it's like he just stops the Mudhorn but levitates it. He force chokes Cara Dune. He throws the stormtroopers around. But now we're at a point where he's facing down this giant creature and he's able to use the Force to just calm it down and put it to sleep, which I really liked.
Yeah, I did kind of notice that change in him. And like we talked earlier about how he didn't get so tuckered out so quickly using the Force. And like when he used the Force on the Mudhorn, he just kind of like picked it up because he didn't know what else to do with it. Mm-hmm. But through some of his training, he had learned to kind of quiet the mind of the Rancor and just kind of like settle him down.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And I also really like that I kind of saw the Rancor as going nuts and it's out of control, someone said. And that was after Boba Fett kind of went back into old ways and proved Cad. Oh, there's so many names. Proved Cad Bane right by killing him. And Cad Bane was like, I knew you were a killer. And that's when we see the Rancor going nuts. That to me, that symbolizes Boba Fett losing control and like the animal that lives inside of him getting out. But it's not the end of the world. It's not like you have to kill it to stop it. You can peacefully, like through balance and through the Force, just calm it back down, put it to sleep. Mm-hmm. And move on.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
I love comparing, the Rancor kind of going off the edge and getting a little bit wild and unruly. I love comparing that to Boba when he just gives in to his emotions that Finnick kind of pointed out earlier and just, stabs Cad Bane. It's great.
Yeah. That's one of the things, the scene between Boba and the Rancor Keeper and the Rancor, I'm like, even if I hated the rest of this series, which I do not, like that scene alone, I think would make it worth it for me. Where I'm like, God, I just love that scene. I could keep talking about that, but
Star Wars is great.
Yeah,
we love it.
Star Wars sure is neat, huh?
It's super neat.
Miranda here sent in another super chat. Thank you. Asks if we saw the rumor that this is all an alternate timeline from the sequels due to Ezra saving Ahsoka. I don't agree, but you just said if someone... Oh.
This is another world between worlds.
You listen here, Miranda here. No, it's not true. Oh, you're just trying to get a rise out of me, and it's working. If that's a real rumor, no, I don't believe that at all.
Y'all are gonna make us go get more drinks for the rest of this stream. Keep bringing up.
I was about to actually go get a new one. How are you doing?
I'm down to my last couple sips here.
Okay, well, you hold down the fort for a second, and I just have to go get a beer. That's easy. I'll be right back.
Okay. It's just me now. This is my stream. Oh no, I don't want to be big though. I don't know how to undo this. Hold on. Oh God, there's 800 people watching me. That's better. All right. Who we got up next? Next up, we've got Maddie. Thank you for your super chat, Maddie. Grogu will outlive Din, Rey, and all of us in real life. I mean, that's true, but that's really sad to think about. Grogu's got to like just outlive all of his friends and loved ones, and that is going to suck. But I mean, ultimately, that just means we'll get him in more content, probably, right? Let's see here. Shadow Cut Films has the next super chat here. Thank you. I mostly enjoyed the season, but I do think these shows could benefit from expanding the writing team. Is Favs being stretched too thin? Yeah, I think you make a good point. I've seen a lot of people talking on social media about like not putting all of the blame on the things that went wrong with this series and other series on the directors. So like not blaming Rodriguez for story related stuff. You know, I thought his direction was a little bit off for this episode, and his other episodes were, in my opinion, some of the weaker ones. But story-wise, I do think we could be talking more about Favreau and if he's falling back on too many old habits. But I'll be interested to see what Alex has to say.
Mostly enjoyed the season, but I do think these shows could benefit from expanding the writing team. Is Favs being stretched too thin?
So I brought up the fact that people were saying, oh, we shouldn't put all the blame on Rodriguez for what went wrong. And I totally agree. Like the stuff we talked about, it was mostly about his direction. But like as far as the story goes and the writing, should we be putting some of that blame on Favreau and trying to get more writers? And
I mean, I think that a lot of people would argue it wasn't my favorite episode of the season, but probably my second favorite was the one that was co-written by Dave Filoni. I do think my favorite episode is still episode 2. I really loved that one. But yeah, like I think that we could benefit from having Favreau like have the overarching story and then have people come in and write different scripts. I mean, another example is Rick Famuyiwa writing chapter 15 of The Mandalorian, which was an awesome episode and one of my favorites from that season. So I think having people come in and give their own thoughts on like this overarching story probably would be a good idea down the line, especially if Favreau is going to keep overseeing The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett, assuming it continues on. Like his job is just getting bigger and bigger. Although I assume Dave Filoni is going to probably write all of the Ahsoka series.
Probably. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm ready to get more women in the writing and directing room because, like, we've got Bryce Dallas Howard and Deborah Chow doing some phenomenal work on some of these episodes, and then who was it that directed episode 2?
Steph Green. Thank you, Wari, for just pointing that out.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah,
get some more women in here, guys. They know what they're doing.
I mean, there's so many women directors in television that have directed some of my favorite stuff, and not just Star Wars, but all series, and continuing to just diversify the writing room, and the director crew, I don't know, but the director pool has led to some great things. Just keep giving new people a chance, because we're finding some really great people where I'm like, if you told me a few years ago that Bryce Dallas Howard would have made some of my favorite live action Star Wars stuff, I'd be like, that's crazy.
Yeah. We just need to diversify the writer's room in general, because they've kind of started doing that in Star Wars, which is great, but there's still a long ways to go there in that category.
I'm really excited to see what the Acolyte is like, because it's going to be so different in so many ways. Like, new era, new characters, probably mostly new story, fresh talent, like both as actors and writer and directors. Like, I'm just excited to see something brand new.
Same.
Jane Dalton, thank you for the super chat. Could Cad Bane come back to life using the world between world? Just kidding. Nice.
I was looking for the super chat, but I see that was more recent, and that Rain Man moved it up.
I think Rain Man moved it up just to annoy me. What do you think Mando and Grogu will do next? Are they on their way to Mandalore or something else? Good question. Like, I kind of assumed that when we next saw Din, he would still be with Bo-Katan and company. So I guess he left them to go find his covert again. So I wonder if he's just going to be off on his own. Like, I don't think anyone's actively hunting for Grogu. Maybe the Empire still is.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing he talked about with the armorer, like when she found out he took his helmet off, she's like, oh, well, the only way you can be redeemed is the living waters in the mines of Mandalore or whatever. And he said something about, oh, those were destroyed. So yeah, I could see him maybe going back to Bo-Katan, even though we don't know how they ended up separated after the finale. But like, going and asking her about it, because she was the one to be like, don't believe everything you hear about Mandalore. So that stuff could actually not be destroyed, but I absolutely do think he's going to try to go to Mandalore.
Yeah, I guess that makes the most sense. That's the only really solid lead we have for them to follow. I bet we'll catch up with them for a second. They'll be on some little misadventure in the first episode, and they'll be on the trail to Mandalore or something. I don't know why he wouldn't know where it is, but I think that makes sense for his next mission.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Which one are we at now? I'm gonna go
Andrew Biederman.
Yeah. Bring that up, and I'll be RB, and then
Okay,
you can be big
I'll
on the
take
screen
over.
now. How do I? Oh, stop!
Get out of here.
I'm okay. I'm going.
You're still here. Andrew Biederman, thanks for the super chat. This is Alex sat next to you at the Mando reveal at Celebration 2019. That's awesome. That was a fun day. I was with my friend Andy and my friend Zach, who asked Colton a question earlier, and we were all a little bit hungover, but we made it. Do you think they will have a big Mando season 3 or Ahsoka panel this year? So let's see. Well, first of all, the day before Celebration starts, we got this to look forward to. So there's that. I'm kind of expecting them to have like a Disney Plus day or like a live action series panel or something, because there's so much coming that I don't know how they're gonna handle all of it. So we have Andor, we have the Bad Batch, we've got Ahsoka, we've got the Acolyte, we've got Mando season 3. Like, that's 4 series that are on the way, and they still might talk about Kenobi. I don't know. Like, there's still some Kenobi stuff that they could talk about, and it will only be one episode in, so I could still see them having a panel for that. And that's just a lot to talk about when that's just TV. And there's also video games. There's hopefully we'll learn something about Rogue Squadron or whatever the 2023 movie is going to be. So I think they're definitely going to talk about the Disney Plus shows. I don't know if they're each going to have separate panels. I'm like, maybe Andor gets its own panel because it's next. But like the Mandalorian is such a big thing that I could see it getting its own panel. And maybe they would lump Ahsoka in with that since it's part of the Mando-verse. Or maybe they're just going to do like a big, this panel is 4 hours long and everyone's going to get to talk about their shows. I have no idea. But I'm excited to find out in about 3 months. Oh boy, Molly had all the super the super chats pulled up and I do not. So I'll see if I can find Alberto Yapor. Thank you for the super chat. Says, I like the recurrent theme that Din and Grogu are making the galaxy a better place by helping everyone, like Grief Karga and Navarro, the Sorgan village, Cobb and Freetown, and now Boba and Mos Espa. Yeah, I think that's very much what they're doing. Even if they don't mean to, it's like they're running around making the galaxy a better place by doing favors for people. And it's just people helping people. And that's a very, very George Lucas message of, we're all in this together, watching the Phantom Menace, the Gungans and the Naboo. It's like you form a symbiont circle, and what happens to one of you will affect the rest of you. So they need to work together. And I think that Din and Grogu are doing that, even if it's not on purpose.
Bless you.
You're muted, Molly.
What? No, I'm not.
Or did my headphones die?
Am I muted? I unmuted myself. I thought
my AirPods died.
Oh, okay. Classic. Classic AirPods. Alex is just trying to mess with me. Let me see if I can figure out where we are. Oh, I haven't showed off my cup yet. Look at my little Grogu cup. Here we go. I got this for Christmas 2 years ago, I think, or maybe it was my birthday. But Jill got it. Jill's one of my co-hosts over on Certain Point of View.
I can hear now, Charlie. So no funny business.
He doesn't need to be muted for me to do that. Where
now
are
on
we?
Daniel Barry Rams, upcoming 2022 champs. Thanks for the super chat. It just says such a letdown.
Oh, like the season,
the episode,
finale.
I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people were let down by it, and I understand kind of both extremes. If you were really excited and loved it, or if you're let down by it.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's all good. I do kind of feel like we were building up with everything else happening in episodes 5 and 6, and then I felt like this one went down a little bit. I still enjoyed it, but it didn't leave me on quite the same high as the other episodes. Although I do honestly think that when I thought Cobb Vanth was dead, it brought me down quite a bit. Like,
you can see it in our reaction, which is over on Patreon, if you're interested. You can just see the life drain out of your face when they were like, yeah, he was gunned down in cold blood. And then you were like, is that it? Are they not going to address it any further
no, he
than
wasn't.
that?
But they got me. They got me good.
Yeah.
I believed them.
I knew, like, as soon as Boba said the Bacta tank was being used, I was like, ooh, I know what you're doing, Star Wars.
If you had been wrong, if they hadn't revealed him in the Bacta tank, you would have like built my hope up so high, only for me to fall back crashing down again.
I am so glad that that's what the post-credits scene was.
KL has the next one.
Yes.
So thank you, KL. Says, I found the overall tone quite inconsistent, unlike Mando seasons 1 or 2. Boba's too nice. More gritty drug mob war inspiration. Scarface, Godfather would have been ace. I do think that they kind of talked up the whole this is the Godfather in space a lot. And there were a couple of scenes that were like that. The dinner table scene was very Godfather. The calculated, like, simultaneous hits from the Aqualition, the Trandoshans, and the Klatooinians, that was very mob movie. But yeah, I didn't really get a lot of the Godfather vibe that they were selling when they were first pitching this show.
I do agree that the overall tone was very inconsistent, but I appreciated the times that we got to see like the subtle humor and like the like a bantha moment, like the moments where Boba could just be Boba, not
a little goofy, yeah,
not renowned former bounty hunter Boba, now turned crime boss. What is my actual title? Just like, yeah, just regular old Boba Fett. Loves to pet animals, specifically big ones. You know, he just wants a pet. He wants to retire. You know, he doesn't know exactly what he wants, but he knows he wants a pet, and he has that now. He has the Rancor.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked everything that they did to, as Al is putting it, like acknowledging that they made him soft, where he's like, it didn't make me weak, it made me strong. And like showing empathy and compassion for other people or animals is not weakness, unless you're a jerk like Cad Bane.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's see. Ice has a couple of the next super chats here. I'll see if I can find them all in the chat. But first up, thank you, Ice. Loved this finale. See, we got extremes, one and the other. Loved this finale. I had a blast with it and the show. I was genuinely shaking the whole time. A lot of awesome moments. Hope we get a season 2. Yeah, I love hearing that people were... I love hearing that people were having like really intense reactions to this, and I think with that post-credit scene, it probably means a season 2. I don't know if they would just go straight into Cobb Vanth being in Mando season 3, but it's
interesting, like
something.
We were talking about this, I think, with our friend Ashton, and we were talking about Moon Knight. Because we were talking about bringing back Explain It to Me for Moon Knight. And he was talking about how Oscar Isaac, I think, said that there would only be one season of that show. But that does not mean that Moon Knight's not going to appear elsewhere. That even if there are no plans for a season 2, like Moon Knight's going to be around. And it kind of feels the same way, where we might not do a season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. But Boba Fett's not going anywhere. Cobb Vanth's not going anywhere. It's just like, I think we're going to have to get used to these Mando-verse shows being their own kind of beast, where like Kenobi, I'm not expecting is going to play into the Mando-verse. It'll be its own thing. Andor will be its own thing. But anything in this kind of New Republic era is just going to cross over.
Yeah, all these shows are just going to like flow into each other, and they're all going to mesh into this one big blob. A great blob. But hopefully we won't lose too much of specific character stories.
Yeah. They'll have some title for like this whole universe when it's all said and done, I think.
Yeah. Continuing on with Ice's super chats here, I was pleasantly surprised at how much Boba and Bane's history they touched on. They talked a lot more about it than I thought they would. I have some thoughts on this because I was watching another live stream earlier, and I got the feeling that people who weren't as familiar with the Clone Wars didn't feel this at all. They were like, how do they know each other exactly? And I feel like because we know their backstory, we picked up on a lot of little things that they were saying to each other. But to a lot of people, they were like, what's the story here between the two of them? Because like most recently, we've seen Cad Bane and Fennec Shand on the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
And like their whole unfinished arc with the Clone Wars was unfinished. It was never made.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird situation where like everything I know about Cad Bane and Boba Fett is from a Star Wars Celebration panel from I think 2015 where they just showed this clip and they were like, hey, this arc was going to be about Cad Bane teaching Boba Fett how to be a better bounty hunter, and then it was going to end in this duel. And like that became such not an urban legend, but it just became something that fans who were in the know like really knew and wanted to see. So it is bizarre to me. Like I have to remind myself that even Clone Wars fans might not know that happened. So a lot of people do probably think, oh, it makes more sense for it to have been Fennec Shand. Like I understand that argument. But the fact that they are treating that as if, no, this happened and that duel happened. And like Cad Bane's got the metal plate on his head. Boba's got the dent on his helmet, obviously. Like, I love all that.
I think this is a perfect opportunity to now have their story, like of a younger Boba working with Cad Bane, to drop in the Bad Batch season 2. Because I kept saying that, like, we got to get Boba Fett, a young Boba Fett in that show, right? It just kind of makes sense. They name dropped him in season 1. And so now after seeing this whole episode play out, it would be really cool to then get the actual backstory of the two of them fleshed out in Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect to just say like, okay, it didn't happen in the Clone Wars. It happened shortly after the Clone Wars. I think that translates perfectly. I would love to see that. And honestly, I'd be surprised if they don't do something similar. Like, even if it's not that exact arc. Okay, so the Bad Batch also has Cad Bane with the metal plate on his head. So I do think that they are treating that like whole. I think they're saying that happened in the Clone Wars. But still, I'd love to somehow see that story actually play out on screen. And yeah, I totally agree, Ice, that the amount of references they made to their history, the fact that Cad Bane said, like, I'll teach you one final lesson. I was like, hell yeah. Like they're treating this whole unfinished arc as if it's something that we all know.
Ice also said, I love that they did that. It felt so great as the Clone Wars fan, and it was really a good way to bring in that unfinished arc. And finally, got 2 more super chats here. Wow. I got to scrub through the chat to find these now. So we're grouping them together.
And the last one is what we were just talking about. And also, did you notice that Bane still had his metal plate on his head after all these years?
Great attention to detail. Yep.
I also loved that.
I think we got caught up with those. Thank you so much, Ice. Sending in so many. Now I got to scroll all the way back up.
Jedi Mullet 77 has the next one. To be fair, the mayor is still hanging around.
Oh.
No one let Fennec deliver like a Schwarzenegger style one-liner, but she absolutely should have.
Yeah. Fennec, speaking of, I hope Fennec gets more on-screen stuff and like an actual arc if we do get another season of this, because she had a lot of cool moments, but like she was off screen, like going from one place to another for a lot of this episode, and I was bummed at that.
Yeah. I feel like Fennec is still underused, and especially in live action. I'm glad they pulled her into the animated stuff, but I hope that she gets to do more. Although she did kick a lot of ass in the Mandalorian season 2 finale. She got to do, I think, the most ass kicking in that episode.
True. Also, I like that she flirted with Drash. Is that her name? Yeah, a little bit. I was saying that I would ship the two of them, but also Drash was talking to that one girl from Freetown.
Everyone in Star Wars is in love with everyone else. Ship them all, except for Cobb Vanth. He's mine.
He's your. Oh, okay. Wow. Selfish.
I'm gonna go Anakin for Cobb Vanth. If I can't have him, no one can.
Oh boy. All right. Matt Harling, thank you so much for your super chat. I loved all the Mando parts of the show. Does it feel like the show needed Mando, or do you think they could have made it without him? I think they could have made it without him. I feel like they were playing it safe by having Mando come in with Grogu and Luke and Ahsoka and just kind of like shoving all these familiar faces in our faces. But I think it could have stood on its own.
I think they could have made this show without any of the Mando stuff. I think it would have been a more focused story. I still love both of the Mando episodes. I love everything they did. I still think it was a weird decision to include it in a show called The Book of Boba Fett. That's really my only gripe, was that I was like, I was expecting a story about Boba Fett, and the first 4 episodes, I was getting exactly that, and I was really into it. And then it was just, we took a hard right turn and did something else. It was something else that I liked, but I'm like, I wish it kind of had stuck with more focus on Boba Fett. But again, I think that all of these stories are building to one thing, and that's just what we should expect from now on. Even from the Ahsoka series, we're probably going to get Luke and a conversation between him and Ahsoka and Force Ghost Anakin. Fingers crossed. Like, I think we're still going to get these crossover events.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I hate to keep bringing up Marvel when we're talking about Star Wars, but like, no one really bats an eye at Marvel movies now when other Marvel characters show up. They aren't like, oh, this turned into like so-and-so's story instead of who it was originally supposed to be about. It's just like, yeah, it's Marvel, so you're going to get all these crossover things. I think that's where Star Wars is headed.
Yeah, but I said this with some friends last night. Like, what if we were doing Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whatever, both of those titles work. What if you were doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then all of a sudden for episode 5, we did 2 episodes of WandaVision? That's a little different. Granted, those were wildly different shows, and The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett pretty similar in tone. So it's not that jarring, but it's like, if Wanda just came in and we did 2 episodes all about her instead of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we'd be like, what is going on right now? But again, I don't think it's really going to matter. Like, when this whole Mando-verse is over, I think we're probably all going to be pretty happy with it, and this discussion won't even be an issue.
Yeah.
La Wolfie has the next 4 super chats. Thank you, La Wolfie. First, do the Gamorrean guards have names? Rest in peace, Beefy and Porky.
Oh, Beefy. I like those names.
I miss them already. I liked those Gamorrean guards. They they had some good presence. And every time they popped up, Molly would go, man, the Gamorrean guards, like the prosthetic just looks so good.
They did look
They
so
really
good.
did look good.
I kept seeing them and like comparing them to sorry, I'm trying to find the other super chats. I was comparing them to like the Twi'leks that we saw in Garsa Fwip's Sanctuary, because like their prosthetics look so good, and like the airbrush work on their bodies was really good. Like it had shading and all that stuff. And then we went into the Sanctuary, and the two Twi'leks that were working under Garsa were just like these flat colors, like a flat green and a flat yellow with like no extra shading or anything. And I was kind of like, oh, this is just another way that this is a little inconsistent, but it's fine. That's the makeup artist and me getting mad.
I was just going to say pork and chop. Good names.
Oh.
The second one from La Wolfie says, love how the Rancor scene mirrored the Mudhorn scene from season 1. And yeah, I would agree, because I think it's showing some progression for Grogu, like we brought up earlier. Also, what did Molly think of Grogu knocking on the N1 window to make Din use the boost?
So cute. I wasn't sure what he was doing at first, because like he did it a couple of times. And I was just like, oh, this is adorable. He's starting to kind of test Mando already to be like, hey, I'm my own person now, and I have this desire for you to go fast again. So yeah, I loved it.
I think I don't know how they would get around this, but the whole idea of we built the N1 starfighter and we took the droid port out and put this bubble here. It's like the second Grogu was offered that choice, everyone's like, he's gonna go fly in that ship. Like it's almost, we knew what the choice was gonna be.
It's almost like Peli knew, because that seems like something Peli would just assume.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think she knew, like, oh, look, it's the perfect size for your little friend. Go get him and bring it back here.
Yeah.
The next one from Wolfie is, what in the dank ferric is a quokta and a stifling slimy? The droids repurposed from Attack of the Clones. It's pretty cool to see too. Yeah, they were called Scorponok droids, I think. But yeah, those were taken from Attack of the Clones concept art. And I think that was even taken from Droideka concept art for episode 1 that just kind of kept getting adapted. And finally, it made it into live action.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what a quokta and a stifling are, but Cad Bane said that today. He said, isn't that the quokta calling the stifling slimy? And
it's
Boba
like
Fett,
the pot calling the kettle black.
Exactly. Boba Fett said the same line to Casca Reeves in The Mandalorian season 2. So I'm like, all right, that's something that Boba Fett picked up from Cad Bane when they were training together. It's like Cad Bane just kept saying it.
I didn't realize that. That's funny.
That's my headcanon, but I like the idea that Cad Bane just said it all the time.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett picked it up from him. And the last one from La Wolfie for now. Thank you, La Wolfie. I ship Biggs and Cobb with Alex. I'll take it.
I really have no say in any of this. So yeah, I'm fine with it too.
Just agree. Just say yes. Say yes to the mess.
Always say yes to the mess. We're improv students. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and read the next one so I can look for it in the chat. Cheerful Cupcake.
Cheerful Cupcake has the next 2 here. Mod Cobb was my favorite entry. I still want to smack that Major Domo. And what happened to Garsa? I loved the way she dealt with Santo. Unfortunately, I think we've seen the last of Garsa Fwip, at least for now, which sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, every time she comes up, I'm just going to keep apologizing to her. But she was a compelling character with a great presence, and she was just wiped out. And I'm like, it felt like there was more to learn about that character.
Yeah, I said it earlier. Like, she was just that type of person that seemed like she knew everybody's secrets, and it would have been like really cool to get some stories out of her. Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned that you noticed that scar that was covered up for most of the series, and then in the last episode we got to see it, and that alone is just a little bit of visual storytelling where I'm like, what is her deal? What's her past? How did she get to where she is? I have a lot of questions, and I think she would make for a good story. So hopefully we see her pop up again, book, comic, or whatever. That's the nice thing about Star Wars, is that we can always learn more about someone at some point.
I think the scar was just probably in her concept art, and it was probably just to show that, like, yeah, she's been here for a while. She knows this town. She also knows how dangerous people can be, maybe got in a fight or two. So she's not someone to mess with.
Yeah. Cheerful Cupcakes. Next one says, when Finnick said, if not us, then who? If that'll convince him to stay at least for a while, organize the Tuscans, add Freetown until RoboCobb returns. Yeah, I don't know what. I think it's interesting that they didn't announce a season 2 yet. I was kind of expecting to get, like, at the end of Loki season 1, they had that disclaimer. They were like, a season 2 is happening, don't worry. So I'm kind of surprised we didn't get that with this.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, it does say season 1 on Disney Plus, which to me suggests a season 2 instead of just like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I assume will say something like just the series. It probably won't have a season title or drop down or anything.
Yeah. They sent one more in that's all the way at the bottom, so I'm not going to scroll down there. If you can get to it, Dennis Grogu's first dog, basically.
I mean, yeah, kinda. I mean, we've made that joke about Han and Chewie as well, where when Chewie makes a life debt to Han, it's more akin to a human taking a dog and being like, I'm making a life debt to you, and I will take care of you, and I will give you the best life I can for as long as you live. Like, that's basically what Chewbacca did.
Yeah. Clinton St. Clair has the next one here. Thank you for this super chat. Do you expect Robert Rodriguez to EP next season? And is there balance to what Favreau is writing and what Rodriguez is directing? I think he'll probably continue to do the show next season if that's how they're kind of formatting it. And is there balance to what Favreau is writing?
Like, responsibility wise, I guess, to the fluctuations in quality. I think I agree with you that he will continue to EP as long as the series was successful in Disney's eyes, which I mean, I don't know how to read Nielsen ratings or anything, but people have been reporting on
I don't
the
even
Nielsen.
know what that is.
It's just like the people who
Who's
say,
Nielsen?
I don't know. It's just the people who say, like, these shows are doing well and these shows aren't, and they have a streaming report. And I think Boba Fett did well, according to the report I saw on Star Wars Newsnet. So I assume the show performed well. And as long as that's happening, I think they will keep the same team in place if there's a season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I definitely think the biggest issues I had with this episode were probably directorial, but I also had plenty of great moments from this episode that I was like, yeah, that was directed great. And I also like Robert Rodriguez as a director usually.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that his 3 episodes this season were the weakest, but I'm like, I like Sin City. I love From Dusk Till Dawn. Like,
Yeah.
I know that he can direct a good movie. I just wonder if he's on a learning curve with the volume or something.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I'm trying to find Jane's super chat here. It's hard to scrub through this whole chat now.
Do you want me to just read while you scrub?
Yeah.
Also, do you see the time codes? Does that help?
Oh, yeah, I guess it does.
But Jane's super chat, thank you, says, do y'all think things might have been better if Rodriguez had edited his episodes? He talks in his book about how he edits most of his films himself, but they stuck with the normal Mandalorian editing team for this series. That is interesting. I guess
I need to be looking at the time codes. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I think that's possible because I like just reading like the making of Star Wars books, and just George Lucas, when he was shooting Star Wars, he was shooting and knowing how he wanted it to be edited. And so he had specific shots in mind. And Robert Rodriguez might be the same way, but I don't know. I feel like he should still have some modicum of control, even if the editors are showing him something. He could be like, hey, make this faster or slower or whatever.
Yeah, I have to believe that he saw the final product and would have either been like, yeah, cool, great, I love it, or would have been like, this is edited weird, or like, these cuts are weird, this is too jumpy. Like, I don't think he would have let the finished product be something that he wasn't proud of.
I mean, he might not have had that much say in it, where it's like, we're on a deadline and this has to go out. So I don't know. I don't know what the behind the scenes deal is for this show or anything on Disney Plus, really. So I can't really speak to it. I do think that there would probably be some changes if he got to edit it. And you make a good point that Rodriguez does a lot of stuff on his own movies, including composing music oftentimes. And he wrote music for the Book of Boba Fett, which is awesome. So I don't know. I really, really like the guy as a filmmaker, which it just like, it kind of hurts me to say like, oh, his episodes just weren't my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm willing to give him another shot. Like some people, even Molly, you tweeted that you don't really want him to stay near Star Wars. And I'm like, I'd give him another chance. I believe.
He's gotten a couple episodes now, and they all kind of feel very similar. So that just makes me believe that. Although part of me is also saying that because I want to make way for other new directors and writers and people to get in there and have them be able to play around with Star Wars.
Yeah. And I should point out that I haven't seen a lot of his filmography. What I have seen, like Sin City, The Mariachi, From Dusk Till Dawn, like what I have seen, I've enjoyed a lot, but I haven't seen all of the Spy Kids movies or Shark Boy and Lava Girl or like a lot of his newer stuff. I haven't seen Alita. So I can't really speak to who he is as a filmmaker more recently. I'm more of like a 90s and early 2000s Rodriguez fan. Planet Terror. Thank you, Wari. I love Planet Terror.
He directed the Rain on Me Lady Gaga Ariana Grande music video.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Well, there you go, Molly. I love Planet Terror.
So I'm not saying in any world am I saying that I don't like his directing, because I also love Planet Terror, but I also don't know a whole lot about directing. So don't take what I'm saying about any kind of direction, take it with a grain of salt, because I
wasn't trying to throw you under the bus. I mean,
no.
I agree with people who are like, his episodes were probably the 3 weakest of this season. I'm like, yeah, I agree, but I like him.
Yes. All right. Moving on here because we're getting kind of a backlog again here. We're coming up on 3 hours here. Loth Catnip, thanks for the super chat. What do y'all think of the Filoni-verse? And do you think Grogu has created another Kylo Ren? New to this channel, you guys are awesome. Oh, thanks.
Oh, thanks, Loth Catnip. That's a fun name. Has Grogu created another Kylo Ren? Another one? Like in himself?
Yeah.
I guess that's what the question is saying. No, like we kind of touched on this earlier, but I don't really think Grogu's going to go to the dark side. He'll probably struggle with it here or there, the same way Boba Fett in this series has struggled with being a killer. But I don't really see him going full Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, anything like that.
No, I don't either. What do we think of the Filoni-verse? I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I am ready for us to step out of it a little bit. Like, I am so excited for Kenobi. I'm really excited for Andor.
Bring up that poster. I just want to see it.
I'm excited for the Acolyte.
Oh, hold on. Yeah. Look at him.
Look at him.
Lost in the desert.
I'm so psyched for the non-Filoni-verse stuff because even though I'm really, really enjoying it, Filoni, Favreverse, Mando-verse, whatever we're calling it, I just like when Star Wars has plenty of variety. So I love the idea that we'll have every year we'll get 1 or 2 seasons of whatever the Mando-verse is doing, and then we're going to get a Kenobi show, and then for the next 2 or 3 years we might get Andor seasons. Just keep it varied so there's a little something for everyone.
Yeah. And plus, I'm excited to see Dave Filoni continue to grow in his abilities to direct live action because he was pretty new to it, still kind of learning the ropes. I think Favreau's teaching him a lot. So I think he has a lot of room to grow and will only continue to get better.
Yeah, I was really impressed with his last episode. Part of it was because of who was involved. It was Cad Bane versus Cobb Vanth, and I didn't want either of them to die. But I still thought that he directed the hell out of that sequence. I was so stressed out, which is exactly what they wanted. Stephen Boston, thanks for the super chat. In the end, Boba goes off to live as a Tusken. Cobb takes over as the new mayor. Finnick as daimyo with BK by her side. I wouldn't really mind seeing Boba Fett just kind of like retire at some point.
I could definitely see this happening, and because like it's weird. Like I could see Boba going back off to live his life as a Tusken, but that also kind of makes me sad. Like I feel like him and Finnick have this good relationship. I mean, I guess that doesn't necessarily mean he would have to go off forever and never come visit.
Yeah, but
like I want him to have
just
friends.
In the desert. It's just around the corner. I mean, it's a bantha ride, so it's going to take a couple years to get into the city.
A couple years.
It's not that far.
Yeah. Kryptonian has the next super chat here. Thank you. That Boba versus Cad duel should have gone to either Dave Filoni or Bryce Howard.
I mean, like I said, I really loved the way Dave Filoni directed the duel in the last episode, but I was into this duel. I wouldn't have called the duel this episode one of the weak spots of the season finale.
No, I don't think this was one of the weaker points. I liked it.
I was into it.
Yeah. They also sent another super chat in that said, I think Grogu gave the Rancor a Snickers bar so it would stop being a diva.
Rancor, you get a little grouchy. You get a little grouchy when you're hungry. Have a Snickers bar.
I could use a Snickers bar. Not because I'm grouchy. I just like Snickers.
I think it's funny. People were making pork chop jokes, and we're having pork chops for dinner tonight. At some point, supposedly.
At some point, we've already eaten. Like we both had like kind of sandwich,
little snack,
little snacks. Anyways, Ken, thanks for the other super chat here. It doesn't start flat. Oh, we're going back to Cad Bane's thing. I don't know if we read this. Doesn't start flashing until the gappy pierces. So yeah, I did notice that like the flashing square on Cad Bane's chest didn't start flashing and beeping until he got
I figured
stabbed.
it out. He's so old. That's his pacemaker. And it's just like a little dial where it's like, oh God, like you've been stabbed. And so it's beeping now as an alert to be like, hey, you're dying. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I also thought that like you can kind of hear this like wheezing sound. So I was like, maybe he pierced a lung and all that oxygen that's being pumped into him with his little face things, it's being like let out.
Getting out.
And that little blinking light is just like, well, you're low on oxygen.
Yeah.
Should maybe fix that.
I will certainly not be surprised if Cad Bane survives. But as of today, I kind of think he should die and stay that way.
Mm-hmm. I do too. But hearing all this talk about if he's still alive, I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
If they want to bring him back, this is the perfect way to do it. You left a little blinking light on somebody.
It's a Schrodinger's cat situation right now where it's like he's dead until a storyteller decides he's not. And they'll be like, oh, but see, the blinking light, it meant something all along. Or it could mean nothing forever.
All the creators on this show are just like laughing hysterically at like people wondering if this means he's dead or if he's still alive.
They did this on purpose.
Yeah, they're like,
we got.
I'm sure
it's
nerds. I'm sure Filoni will get this question at Celebration at one of his panels, and he'll be like, "I don't know, interesting."
Yeah. He'll have a Cad lives ? Shirt, and then they'll switch it to an exclamation point when we're not looking.
Oh, so tricksy. Next ones are from Mandalorian 47.
Thank you for the question. Why weren't the civilians mad at Boba after being worried about the droids destroying Mos Espa, but it was his own Rancor that destroyed Mos Espa? It was a little of both. I mean,
he got rid of the pikes.
Yeah, they were on his side at least.
Maybe they won't be overcharged for water now.
That is something I think the series should have done better, is actually show the pikes and how they treated people. Like, there was a line that Boba said, "Spice is killing our people." And I'm like, I guess I'll take your word for it. I mean, I believe you, but like, it would have done a lot, I think, to show the pikes really being terrible to the people of Mos Espa. And Peli had a line about like, oh, everyone's scared of them and the police won't do anything. And that like all hell is broken loose. And I'm like, we should see that. Don't tell us that. Show the pikes being terrible.
Yeah, because like from what we could see, everybody looked fine in the town. Nobody looked like they were struggling. I mean, the mods didn't have a job, but they were just like standing around before Boba hired them.
Yeah, that's we keep getting told things, and like that's screenwriting 101. Oh God, I feel like such a douche saying that. But like that it's like show, don't tell.
It's true though, because like when we first meet the mods, she is talking to Boba and is like, "Look around, old man," and it's like, yeah, there's a club playing music. Like I don't see a ton of stuff. Like if you have a character like that, say a line like "look around."
Yeah, like have him look around and see people like on Spice like dying. Yeah. Like we just watched Arcane, and they showed us that moment where they go to the Undercity and they see all of the people who are stuck on that drug and how terrible it is.
Make
Yes,
those
arcane.
arcane connections.
Yeah.
Such a good show.
Like that's something they should have done, is just show how terrible the Pikes are for Mos Espa and why everyone in that city would be on Boba Fett's side.
I like that.
Mandalorian's next one says, now that Mando is considered no longer a Mandalorian, do we think he'll go back to Bo-Katan or back to bounty hunting? Yeah, good question. And we kind of talked about this with Jane. I think that his next quest is going to be to go back to the waters of Mandalore or whatever. I think he'll start checking that stuff out.
Yeah. Because he's got Grogu again now, and I think that means I don't think he would just go right back to bounty hunting because he just got Grogu back. He wants to spend some time with his son and like not put him immediately in danger again.
Yeah. They're just going to go have a vacation. They're going to go to Gleansselm, learn to play the Valacord, chill on the beach.
The Valacord. Sure. This next one is also from Mandalorian 47. Thank you for the super chats. Since Luke is no longer training Grogu, do you think that Moff Gideon or any other Imperial will attempt to take Grogu, or do you think he's safe from the remnant? I mean, Moff Gideon is pretty much locked up now, and I don't see him getting out anytime soon.
Yeah, it's definitely... I don't know what the state of the Empire is now, and we still don't even know if Gideon was working with Thrawn or if he was on his own or what the deal is. I do not know. I'm going to guess that Grogu's probably not quite safe, but
yeah,
I don't know.
He's still a hot commodity.
Everyone in the galaxy wants him, not for genetic experiments. They just want him.
Yeah. I mean, we see it every time Peli sees him.
Where I'm going to open a petting zoo.
Where is he? Same with Cobb Vanth, though. That was funny when he was also like, "Where's the little guy?
Mm-hmm.
You took him back. What? Guess we both lost something."
Yeah.
I gotta scroll to find this next one.
Mandalorian's last one here. Thank you so much, Mandalorian. Says, I will say that I loved that in this last episode, they finally showed how 2 Beskar armed warriors can still lose to numbers. Yeah, a glimpse of how the Mandos in the covert in season 1 died. Yeah.
Good point.
I loved watching them fight together, but yeah, even they couldn't take on everybody in the galaxy or even on Mos Espa. It's like eventually they're going to get overwhelmed, which I mean, I compare the Mandalorians and the Jedi a lot, but it is the same. It's like even a Jedi is going to fall to too many battle droids.
Yeah. Even armor will fail at times, and especially plot armor.
Plot armor will never fail. Just ask Cobb Vanth.
I'm convinced that Alex is writing letters begging them to just keep Cobb Vanth alive at any cost.
John, please.
You can't do this to me. I'm getting to the next one here.
Michael Kleiss, thank you for the question. Been watching since Star Wars Minute. Hey, thanks. Did it seem weird to you that Boba wasn't the one who killed the Pike leaders? Honestly, not really. It did to you, but it didn't really cross my mind.
Didn't. It didn't for me, but I had seen so many people bring that up throughout the day that I was like, oh, it's interesting that so many people did think that. But no, for me, it didn't really feel weird.
Maybe I still kind of weirdly had it stuck in my head of like my own theory about the Pikes hired Cad Bane to kill the Tuskens, and that is categorically not true. Like Cad Bane straight up said he had no idea about that when the Pikes told him. So maybe in the back of my head, watching Boba kill Cad Bane was still like justice for that, even though it wasn't. And I don't know. Boba Fett still gave the order. He was like, Finnick, can you get to Mos Eisley and take care of them? That's enough for me.
Yeah.
He has to delegate. I would have preferred to see him fight. If we could only get one, I would have rather seen him fight Cad Bane.
Same. I think all that stuff made sense. And I'm almost glad it was Finnick and not Boba to go and take them out, because like I said earlier, Boba is very emotional about what happened, and he would have been like, why did you do that? And like trying to like talk to them, and he's got too much attachment to what happened. He needed Finnick to just go in there and take care of them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like talking about emotions running high and how Cad Bane almost goaded him into fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And Finnick was like, hey, don't do this. You're emotional. You're going to mess this up. Like
you're emotional.
Yeah, it may have been better for her to go deal with that than him.
Yeah.
I just want to say that if this were true, we would have seen Gavin Darklighter in this series. So or the Biggs Darklighter Memorial at Tashi Station, which absolutely should have existed.
We're just going to assume that it was there.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah.
That our friends at Force Center suggested that be a thing in Tashi Station when we first saw it in the trailers. And I was like, I'm mad that I heard this, because if it's not in there, I'll be upset. And it wasn't there.
I mean, it's kind of along the same lines as I wish that there was a Archex memorial at Galaxy's Edge, but not enough people who are going to Galaxy's Edge are going to know who Archex is. So,
are you saying that not enough people know who Biggs Darklighter is?
Yes, I am saying that.
I've been trying to spread the gospel of Biggs. How do not enough people know? Everyone should know.
Guys, like and subscribe so that we can spread the gospel of Biggs Darklighter to get him a memorial at Tashi Station.
Everyone tweet about Biggs Darklighter tonight. Do your good deed for the day. Let's just move on to the next super chat from Fisk the Whisk.
I love this.
Thank you, Fisk. Says Cad Bane has to be alive so he can come back with a bigger hat. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
It needs to be this big at least.
His hat fell off. Someone's going to steal it. And then inevitably he'll find a bigger one. And then we'll all collectively let a sigh of relief and be like, okay, things are back to normal. He's got a big enough hat.
But that's only going to make him stronger. What if he goes after Cobb Vanth again?
He wouldn't dare. Bill Rudd has the next super chat here. Thank you, Bill. R.I.P. Master. Oh boy, Garfalaquax. Quax. Who's that?
Oh, he was the Aqualish. I was about to Google him. He's the like, Aqualish dude.
I was like, I know that name.
I definitely know I've heard that name.
I was like, I know that name sounds familiar. We hardly knew ye. Yes, R.I.P. Think Bosk or Dengar could use the world between worlds to rescue him.
Oh my god. Everyone jumped on that.
Kidding. Thanks for a great season.
Of all the people to rescue. It was fun just because Bill brings up Bosk. It was kind of fun to see, like, not fun, because I wanted Bosk to appear in this season. I had like all these guesses for characters, and then just as the episodes go on, I'm like, nope, it's too late. And going into today's episode, I was like, it's too late for Bosk. It's a shame. Maybe next season.
I mean, yeah, if Black Chrysanthemum gets like a whole arc of his own, maybe they could bring Boscan and have them fight, but Santo needs a break. He got his melon. He's going to have a nice dip in the back to tank as soon as Cobb Vanth is done with it. But yeah. Next up is a super chat from Johnny. Thank you. Do you think Grogu displayed anything he might have learned from Luke? We touched on this a little bit earlier, that we think he's understanding more of the balance between like getting angry and using the Force out of anger, or using it for balance.
Yeah. I think that we have seen him using the Force more aggressively in previous seasons, and this time with the Rancor, he peacefully calmed it down and put it to sleep. I would say that is growth, and I think that is showing what Luke has taught him, and also in ways that he can defend himself, defend Din by pulling the bolt out of a droid's leg.
Mm-hmm. Plus, he learned how to jump. He can jump into Din's arms now, which is adorable.
Yeah.
And we're all happy about it.
That's the key thing that he learned.
He
how
learned
to jump into Pappy's arms.
Oh.
Did we miss this? Alex Ward has the next super chat and says, Grogu's first words. He says, "Hedo" to Peli. Did he do that? Did we miss that?
I think some of his little sounds may sound like words, because like he will make little sounds that sound like "do."
Right.
So like he could have said like, "Hello, I'm Grogu." I can't impersonate him. It's too
that's
cute.
Exactly what he sounds like. I'm looking it up right now. I got to find out.
I mean, it wasn't in the subtitles, so.
Oh, that's true.
If he had his first word on screen, it would have been in the subtitles.
I think that's true.
And also, Peli would have been like, "Look at you, all fancy with your words."
No, I'm just watching. Did they teach you how to fly an X-Wing?
Oh my god, so cute.
Okay, yeah, like he waves at her and he kind of makes those little grunty noises.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a hello, but if that's your headcanon, go for it.
Yeah.
Queensland, Australia, thank you for the super chat. Says, sorry if this was asked, I came in late. Do you think the Scorpneck droids indicate other CIS weaponry will show up in these shows? I don't know, maybe. I thought it was just a fun thing. I think they were probably trying to pull in more concept art that was unused. I mean, they did that with Mos Espa itself. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just we want droids to attack this place. So why not make it these?
I just got to the chat where you left and it was just me on the stream, and I just thought these were all cute. That I was big and I was like, I don't want to be big. How do I change it?
I'm sorry I made you big. Big Molly.
Party time. Molly's Power Hour. Coming soon. No! I'm all sweaty.
Big Molly.
I'm not sweaty. I'm glowing.
How do we... There. I can be Lil Alex.
I don't want to be
Big Molly.
I don't want to... We're still learning how to use StreamYard, guys. It's fine. All right, now I lost my place.
Hannah W has the next two super chats, but they are the same. It says Garsa Fwip's head tails are full of secrets.
Mm.
I think that was, I think, from you talking about how Garsa probably has dirt on everyone in the city.
Oh, for sure. But all that dirt is turned to dust now.
Sad.
Sad.
Chris Pacetto has the next one. Thank you, Chris. Says maybe Garsa Fwip will have a story in the Return of the Jedi, Return of the Jedi, a certain point of view. Also, rest in peace to those two excellent pigs. That's a great idea. A Garsa Fwip story in Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Where she's like, maybe she helps Max Rebo.
She could be like in Jabba's palace during all that stuff, and she's gathering secrets and trying to hire Max Rebo. She's like, hey,
she's like, we gotta get Max.
If your boss ever explodes, I've got a place for you.
We gotta get Max. No one else will do.
She knows who brings in the customers.
She knows whose milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Is it Max's?
It is. It's not hers. It's Max Rebo. Playing those sweet tunes. Next one up here is from Mitch97F. Thank you, Mitch. What would be your best alternative timeline for Star Wars?
You're starting to not be able to talk too.
I can't.
Not just me.
I can never read things correctly. You know, I always struggle with this. Yet I'm the one reading all the super chats on our Lego streams. Like I know how to read.
Well, I have to build. My best alternative timeline Star Wars. I don't know. Does Legends count? There's still plenty of Legend stories that I love that don't really fit in this timeline.
My best alternative timeline for Star Wars, it all starts with the World Between Worlds.
Uh-huh.
And the way that I see that going,
I saw that in your eyes.
Anything that happened in Star Wars could be changed by literally anyone.
Oh God! And then Ken Plume has the next super chat that just says, "I can still see Molly's trying to talk down in the."
You can't silence me. I'll come in your room. You're just next door.
That's true. Well, Ken Plume has the very next super chat that says, "We need an updated World Between Worlds video." What is there to update? There's nothing to update.
I'll do it.
What are you going to update? Nothing's changed. We haven't seen it since Star Wars Rebels Season 4.
My theories, obviously everyone wants to know like what could happen with the World Between Worlds. So
you go ahead and do that.
I will do it. And it will look so bad. It will have the worst
I'll do commentary
editing.
on it. I'll just drink and yell about it.
It will have the worst editing anyone has ever seen on the channel, but they won't care because my content is superior. Josh Thompson.
Ken wants to know what the World Between Worlds can't do, which is most everything that people think that it can do.
What it can't do? It can't make Alex Damon happy. That's what it can't do.
I love the World Between Worlds. I love it.
All right. Time to move on.
Sorry for the interruption.
Josh Thompson, thank you so much for your super chat. When do you think we'll see Bad Batch now that we know Kenobi is in May? Yeah, I don't think we have time to see it in between now and then, do we?
No.
That would be wishful thinking.
Assuming it's another 16-week show. Well, it did say that it was going to come out in spring on Star Wars Insider. And I also could see the potential of them since it's not live action, maybe putting it out on Friday still. So I could see there being potential of shows overlapping.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that would be awesome, because then we would potentially get 2 new Star Wars shows in the same week.
I just wanted to say, Alphonse, we've got it on the list. I promise. We've got a whole list going.
Yeah,
it's just that Rain Man threw the World Between Worlds super chat up in front of my face to make me angry.
We're working through our backlog here, but we're catching up.
Oh, it's okay, Alphonse. I just wanted to make sure you knew that we haven't missed it. Eric Malik, thank you for your super chat, says this was like a live action season of Clone Wars, which I'm totally happy with. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, we talked about how this felt like one of those Clone Wars episodes that just is mostly fighting and not as much dialogue and story and stuff.
It felt like the end of an arc where it's like we did all the emotional stuff and now it's like lots of action and some emotional stuff, but mostly action. And yeah, we had like the arc of Boba Fett, and then like, oh, we shifted perspective for a couple episodes, and now we're back to Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree with that. Dan Ritter, what's up, Dan? Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, folks, late to the party tonight. I was thinking earlier that it's amazing we live in a time when there's enough new Star Wars that it's totally fine when one thing isn't your favorite. Yes,
that is
absolutely.
That if you go back a couple months and find my interview with David W. Collins, I believe it was him that said that it's so nice that Star Wars is a numbers game now. It used to be that we had like 6 movies. I just did that for 6 movies. I was thinking 2 sets of 3, I think. We had 6 movies, and of course all the books and stuff. I'm losing it. It's about this time every time where I'm like, oh God, I'm fading. I can feel it.
We're getting there. I believe in you.
We're gonna do it. But yeah, it's so nice to be able to say like, hey, Book of Boba Fett, like if you didn't love it, well, guess what? Kenobi's coming out in just 3 months. And if that's not your thing, Andor's coming out after that. And if you want animation, The Bad Batch is coming out after that, or maybe during it. I don't know.
Well, earlier in the stream, our guest Colton said basically this same thing, that like, yeah, I guess the older you get, the more Star Wars that you've kind of lived through. And it becomes really interesting and cool to just talk to everyone about it and see that like everyone has their favorite thing that they love. And it's kind of pointless to just like harp on something you hate, because it could be something that someone else loves, and that's worth celebrating.
Yeah. That everything in Star Wars is somebody's favorite. I mean, like, I love how much Kevin Scott loves Jackson, the Green Rabbit, that is on it. Like, I remember people definitely not liking Jackson when I was getting into Star Wars back in the mid 90s. But he, like, to him, that's what introduced him to Star Wars, to the point where, and I love this story that he's told me, that he went to see The Empire Strikes Back and Jackson was not in it. And he's like, what's the deal? Where's Jackson? Like, who are all these other people? I love that story.
That's hilarious. Ooh, I like this one.
James Norwood, thank you for the question. Hey guys, love the show. Do you think we'll ever see the baby Hutt from the Aftermath books again? You do? I don't really think so.
You said earlier that you thought we would get the Hutts coming back.
Those Hutts, the twins.
Yeah. But like, why not bring in a good Hutt?
Yeah, I don't know.
We've never seen a good guy Hutt on screen, have we? That wasn't a baby.
On screen? No, I don't think so. It's just like, and this is my bias of just not wanting to expect things still, where when people were like, rumors are Timothy Oliphant is playing Cobb Vanth, and I was like, Bantha Poodoo. Like, there's no way. There's no way that's gonna happen.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and now I do, and it means so much to me, but I don't want to expect that to be the norm. But you never know. Like, I'm just saying I'm not expecting it. But if we are going to stick with Cobb Vanth, and if we're going to stay on Tatooine, and if the Hutts come back, then that's making the chances better.
Yeah, I mean, we know kind of at this point that anything is possible, so why not bring back the baby Hutt from the Aftermath books?
Sure.
Jamal Taylor, thank you for your super chat. How did Max Rebo know to not go in that day? Yes. People have been talking about this as like a conspiracy theory, like Max Rebo maybe knows something. Maybe he's working with the Pikes, which I don't want to say is true because he's too pure for that. I don't know. What do you think?
I do not think that Max Rebo is evil at all. But I wanted to pull in probably the best thumbnail that Eckhart Slatter has ever done.
Oh, I saw it. Is that what that video was about?
I assume so. I haven't had time to watch it, but it has to be. I'm almost there. But
Templin Institute has sent in a couple super chats.
Who
even?
The Templin what? But yeah, I mean,
what?
like this perfect use of the laser eyes.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
And like, why does he look like that?
Huh? Because he's evil and because he was in on the bombing. Like, that's the idea. Oh, how did he know to not go in that day? Because he was in on it. I think he just had another gig.
But yeah, Templin said, when does the show end? JK, hearts, kisses,
you,
hearts, hard eyes. Mark's
I like that I had a snarky response just out the gate. Didn't even know what his message was, but it was appropriate. It was an appropriate response. Bates Dynasty, thank you for the next super chat. We can fix the structure when we rewatch. I'll be cutting the flashbacks to watch after the tragedy in Mando Season 2 and then pick this up as 9 ABY. Yeah, I bet there are going to be fan edits of this to just like make it all chronological and linear. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, more flashbacks.
More flashbacks. How would they add more flashbacks?
Bonus material. I want to see Cobb Vanth's flashbacks that he's having right now in the back to tank. Let's see. I gotta scroll to find this next one.
Oh. Star Wars fan 3131. Thank you. Says, do you think it's unfair for Katie, Sam, and Corey to play their characters in live action, but Ashley can do neither, even though she has played her character longer and has done more for Disney with her company? I don't know. I mean, like,
I don't think it's unfair.
I think that's the nature of the business. I'm definitely someone who, when they were announcing like Ahsoka's coming to live action, I felt weird about it because I'm just like, but Ashley Eckstein is Ahsoka. And I think it's still taking me some getting used to, but that's just how this business is. And I do think that at this point now, they're probably casting voice actors who look like their characters for that specific reason.
Yeah. So I think Katie Sackhoff works because she's a great actress. She looks the part and she did the voice acting. Sam, are we talking Sam Witwer?
Sam, I guess. But I guess that was just Galen Merrick, but
he got to do
I'm not sure
the
what they
voice in Solo, right?
Yeah. Is that what they're talking about? I mean, like, he hasn't played
I think
Maul.
so, because Corey Burton has only done the voice. He's not the person.
I gotcha. Yes. Like, I think it's impractical for the amount of material Ahsoka is going to be in. I think it's a lot to have Ashley dub over all of it. I think that's probably the biggest reason behind it.
Yeah. I think Filoni knew going forward what they wanted to do with Ahsoka's character, and that, like, yeah, they wanted to have her pop up in these different shows and have conversations with these different characters. And they knew that they needed someone to look the part. So yeah, I don't know. She's got too many. Like, she's got too many lines for them to dub over another voice with Ashley Eckstein's voice, if that makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense, but I say that and I'm like, if they were to do a live action Crimson Dawn series, let's say, I absolutely think they would have Sam do Maul's voice, just like they did in Solo. Solo was easy because it was one scene. Like, dub him. That's not hard. But if they had Ray Park playing Maul in a major role for a live action TV series, I still think that they would have Sam do that voice. So, I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, I also think there is an argument to be made that Ahsoka may sound different when she's older.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I think she's probably said so in interviews and stuff, Ashley Eckstein, whether or not she would want to do this. Like, would she actually want to play the part?
She's never said anything explicit. She said something expressing some disappointment when the news broke, but you know, and also people are saying, like, yeah, they dubbed Din's lines, they dubbed Vader. That's not the same.
They have helmets on. They have
that
helmets
is not
on.
the same at all. It's a lot easier to, I mean, have you ever noticed Vader pointing when he's not even talking? Like, it's easier when you're not matching lips moving.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that fair, but it's a bummer.
It's a creative choice, and we just have to go along with it.
Yeah.
Ken Plume says, Alex, use the world between worlds to end it.
That's not how it works.
That's not how the Force works.
Dom Goldsby has the next one. Thank you, Dom. While all the long-winded shooting made me exhausted, that Grogu Mando hug made me so happy. I have yet to see anyone say anything negative about little baby Grogu jumping into his arms.
Yeah, that's you literally can't really go wrong with that. So it's the best. I'm still working on scrolling back.
Okay, well, I'll just keep reading. Haunted Autumn, thank you for the next one. there must be a Book of Boba Fett season 2 so we can get an episode with the title Alpha and Omega. I like that, where we get Omega introed into live action and see the two together. It's a good title.
Alpha and Omega.
Yeah. I like that title.
Yeah. Interesting.
I would definitely like to see. I mean, I want to. Do I want to see them meet first in animation, or does it make more sense to see them meet in live action later? I don't know.
I think either one. Oh yeah, I'm catching up now. Here we go.
Well, I'm going to go on to the next one if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Jacob Lyons, thanks for the next super chat. Hey, I know I'm pretty late to the stream, but just wanted to say love you guys. Always love checking out the streams Wednesday, and we'll miss it. Oh, thanks, Jacob.
Thank you. We're going to continue to do our Lego streams weekly, which we usually end up talking about Boba Fett stuff there, but that'll probably start to die down, I guess.
Away.
Yeah. But our Lego streams are always a good time because we don't necessarily talk about Star Wars the whole time. It's kind of anything goes.
Are we going to keep those on Thursday? I mean, we'll do Thursday this week. Or are we going to shift it back to Wednesday?
I don't know.
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out. Dorky Goblin, thanks for your super chat. I love that name. Considering the armorer said she was no longer /the Mandalorian, what would you change the show's name to better reflect his excommunication?
I wouldn't change the name because I think he still views himself as a Mandalorian, and I think
everyone does.
Yeah, and I think
Sorry.
I think part of the point of the show is Din realizing that he doesn't have to follow this cult's rules to be a Mandalorian, which is kind of a stand-in for just like a good person. Like you can be who you are without having to conform to what someone else tells you have to be. So I think he still views himself as a Mandalorian, even if his cult leader said that he wasn't.
Yeah. And like everyone introduces him to conversations as this is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So we got to keep that up.
This is the Mandalorian, not Din. This is the Mandalorian.
And like Boba doesn't care that they're calling him the Mandalorian because Boba doesn't care about Mandalorian stuff.
Wari, thank you for the next one. Just says, no questions, just enjoying the stream with a beer. Thanks, Wari.
Cheers.
I ran out on my second one.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
It wasn't fast. It's been 3.5 hours.
Alex is like, if I get another question about the world between worlds.
Don't tempt them, Molly. Alphonse Collado, thank you.
We can do this. We can finish this.
Thank you, Alphonse. Says, hi, I was so happy to see Cad Bane upset he died, but he was like 80 years old. P.S. I almost thought Boba was going to put Bane's hat on a pike. That would have solidified it. Like that, nope, Cad Bane is dead. We're putting his head on a spike. He's done.
Yeah. That would have been like, all right. That's it. That's the one.
But yeah, it's still up in the air whether or not he's dead. I'm choosing to believe that he is for now, but I won't be surprised if they retcon that.
Thoughts on Rod Films? Thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on Palpatine being brought back in the World Between Worlds?
Nope, can't happen. Wouldn't work. World Between Worlds doesn't work that way.
You heard it here first. That's not how that works.
Panos, thank you for the next super chat. Gonna need a Photoshop of Big Molly flying the Starfighter with little Alex in Grogu's seat.
Okay, I am
We could do
actually
that.
okay with that.
I think I could do that. That's within my skill set.
That's what I want for Valentine's Day.
Oh, easy. Okay, I'll cancel our dinner reservations.
No.
Nope, too late. We have a record of it here. That's all you want.
I also want to leave the house.
It's too late.
Because we spent too much time here. J Bell, thank you for the super chat. Does Han Solo have two?
Oh.
Wait. Does Han Solo have two naked, unconscious stormtroopers on the Falcon when he escapes the Death Star? Oh, okay. I get this.
I think that the book, from a certain point of view, states that they stowed those bodies elsewhere, but from a certain point of view is kind of iffy canon wise. So, whichever way works.
That's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's kind of grim.
I gotta say no to that. Maybe there was like a little slide that they slid them down and out on the other side,
like airplanes have on the emergency exit. You like inflate a thing, and they just put them in the dead body chute, and they just right off the Falcon.
Yeah. And then J Bell had another super chat here. Would Alex rather have his favorite author write a canon Biggs book or a canon Cobb Vanth book?
Why do I? This is Luke offering Grogu a choice that doesn't have to be an either or, because they both grew up on Tatooine, so we could get them both growing up together, being friends. It could be like a young Biggs and young Cobb story.
You have to pick one.
If I have to pick one.
One of them was in public school, one of them was in private school. Let's just assume they never met.
Biggs, his family was wealthy and legend, so he would have gone to the private school. Man. Well, I love the pilot aspect of Biggs. But okay, I was thinking of prequel stuff still. This is literally impossible.
That's the beauty of make-believe.
Because, I mean, to be completely honest, Cobb Vanth is the bigger character and has more depth. So I can think of more interesting stories to tell with Cobb Vanth right away. Biggs is more of a blank slate. He's my favorite, but I kind of think a Western novel about Cobb Vanth could be amazing. And it's something that we haven't really seen before. Whereas we've gotten pilot stories, and I would kill for more pilot stories, but the Cobb Vanth novel would be something new. So I might want to try that.
That's tea. That is tea. You're picking Cobb Vanth over
that
Biggs.
Surprised me. Look, Cobb Vanth is very, very quickly jumping up. Like, I got so excited to know that he was still alive, and I got so excited to just see him in the last episode. Like, he and Biggs are very similar characters to me, and that, like, I love them for reasons that aren't necessarily within the show. I love them for what they represent to me as a fan.
I respect your answer. I feel like that represents character growth from you.
Oh.
And I like it.
Thank you.
I am sorry that I scare people with the fan. I forgot that I don't normally pull out the fan in this show. I do it over on A Certain Point of View, which is my other show that I am a co-host on about the Schmodown, and I have lots of hot takes which require fans. So the stereotype show. Thank you for your super chat. I feel like it was a missed opportunity not having Phil Dunphy from Modern Family as Major Domo. That would have been a funny cameo. Stay cool, Star Wars Explained. XOXO. Thanks.
Why is it that makes sense?
It does make sense.
Why do I see him in that outfit?
I mean, the voice sounds very similar, like
Does
that guy's
it?
voice. I think it does. And like
it's been a while since we've watched Modern Family, but I think Phil's voice was lower.
Some of his like mannerisms are very similar.
There's something about that you say it, and I'm immediately like, yeah, that works. But I don't know why. I don't know. We haven't seen Modern Family in a long time.
I wouldn't trade the performance that we got though, because he was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that would be another good cameo.
Sorry, but real quick, I have to point that out. That my favorite characters in the Book of Boba Fett are an elephant and an oliphant, Max Rebo and Cobb Vanth. Very A plus pun.
Good comparison there. Oh, my AirPods are low battery, so we got this. We got just a couple left.
4 to go.
Caravaggio 2012, thank you for the super chat. Love everything we are getting, but how long till we get a Star Wars show / movie not tied to anything that has come before? Yes, we've been talking about this for a while, and like it's part of the reason why we love the High Republic so much, because it's very new and very different. But yeah, the Acolyte hopefully, supposedly, is going to be totally new and totally different. But we have no idea when that's coming.
I think they're supposed to be filming it soon, so it'll probably be next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But until then, I highly recommend checking out the High Republic if you have not, because other than Yoda, and Yoda doesn't even have a big role in the content, like High Republic is top notch.
Yeah, if you want some books, excellent. Like you can't go wrong there. But for a TV show or a movie, I think The Acolyte will be our very first one.
Yep. Rivex, thanks for the super chat. Max is a touring musician. He definitely does spice.
Sure.
Aw.
So yeah, he may have fallen in with the Pikes. Maybe.
So yeah, he would have known, I guess. He'd be like, nah, man, I'm not going into work today. Something shady's going down.
Joel Davis, thank you for the next super chat. I give Book of Boba a 7 out of 10. It seems like there were too many cooks in the kitchen between wanting to be Boba's story and Mando 2.5. At this point, I would rather them focus on Mando than Boba's season 2. I'm like, I would watch another Book of Boba Fett, but I would still, I'd want them to focus on Boba Fett a little bit more, I think.
Same. Too many cooks in the kitchen does sound right.
I think a 7 out of 10 sounds about right for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because like I really liked most of the episodes, but collectively it seemed like kind of a mess with the shifting focus and everything. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's weird.
We'll have to give it some time and then watch it all again, maybe, because when we did our rewatch, I was like really getting into the flow of it, even though we got that giant break of Boba's actual story. I don't know. Doing a whole fresh rewatch back to back of all the episodes in a single season of something really puts things into perspective and gives you a better idea of what their overall goal was for the show.
Mm-hmm. Diego Imanol, thanks for the super chat. So the World Between Worlds changed Ahsoka's voice. Confirmed. Kidding. Love your reactions to the shows. Keep up the good work. You know what? That makes me think of Ahsoka's voice in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, Ashley Eckstein did voice Ahsoka in The Rise of Skywalker. So that's weird. Like, her voice is just constantly changing. Or maybe that's Force Ghost Ahsoka.
She would have been dead by then, and her Force Ghost.
Well, Dave Filoni
speaking...
doesn't want you to think that. But I agree. Like, she could have become one with the Force, and at that point, like the way Anakin appears younger as a Force Ghost, she could as well. Like, that's just how she wants to present herself as a Force Ghost.
Yeah. We got to our last one. And my AirPods just made the little dying sound. I don't know how long it does that before they actually die.
Well, let's go. Joel Davis with one more.
Go ahead. I got to find it in the chat.
Okay. I think Acolyte will tie itself to The Phantom Menace, at least being a somewhat prequel to The Phantom Menace. I mean, I'm sure there will be familiar elements to it.
Put C.O. Bibble in there. He's old as hell.
Yeah. He is. Yeah. I mean, I think it will have some connections to the Star Wars universe, but it's not going to be nearly as connected as anything else. Because this is the first Star Wars live action show or movie taking place outside of the Skywalker saga. I mean, that's just, it has to, by definition, have some disconnect there. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll see a baby Dooku. Maybe he will be just as cute as Baby Yoda.
Will he be in his baby Dooku pajamas?
Yes.
Thank you, Star Wars Lore, for the super chat. I don't know what the sticker looks like. I'll have to... Oh, no, Ken.
Ken does this every week.
Ken Plume just wants us to have like 5-hour streams.
Uh-huh.
Next time we get him on a stream, we'll make it last 5 hours.
I know, yeah. We're gonna have Ken on for Kenobi. And we're gonna make you stay for a long time. So you just buckle up. But I think that we made it. It is over. It's over.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's time to rest.
It's time to take the Book of Boba Fett as a whole, put it to the side.
Put it back on the shelf.
Put it back on the shelf with the other book of characters, stories, and just... We can all sleep on it tonight and then probably have better... nicer opinions about everything in the morning.
Everybody sleep on it.
Be
nicer to Robert Rodriguez in the morning.
Yeah. Be nicer to Robert Rodriguez, and apparently people want to blame Favreau for more things. So. And Star Wars Lore, thank you for this last super chat here. Hey, do you think Grogu was sent to Mount Tantus? I kind of do.
Yeah, that was my video 2 days ago, a day ago. I can't remember.
The Who Saved Grogu video. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of think he was, and I think that we could see him get rescued by the Bad Batch in season 2.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
We're going to go eat dinner at 11 p.m.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for almost 4 hours. Thank you to our mod Rain Man for putting up with us for so long and organizing all the super chats for us to read. Thank you to everyone hanging out, and especially to everyone who sent in super chats. This show, the book report, has been really fun to do, and I can't wait to do it again with Obi-Wan.
We got to think of a name.
We got to think of a name, and our first show will be our first show is gonna like start during Celebration, which will be fun.
Oh yeah, we might. Oh yeah,
we might have some fun guests.
Yeah, we might have to do a live stream from Celebration. We'll see if that'll even work. We'll see how that goes.
More drawings and future streams. Yeah, I think we should keep that.
Yeah, I like that. It's fun.
Yay.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Star Wars lore.
Thank you, Star Wars lore.
Thank you so
we are
much.
going to go have some dinner and relax after 7 hard weeks of work. But it's been so fun talking with all of you. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, because Thurl brings up Brian Ward. Thank you, Brian Ward, for all the hard work you've done with our thumbnails, which have looked amazing this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to go let my voice rest. So thank you, all of you, and may the Force be with you.